This episode of An Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Phil Seidel. Thank you.
Shh, Ez. Not so loud.
What?
That brought to you by was really loud, man. I don't think they can see us, but they can hear us. Is your ring on?
Yeah?
Which color?
I can't see it.
Shoot, I can't either. Wait, can they see us? Why are they staring at us?
I don't know.
They know we're here.
Oh,
Oh, God. Don't move. They can't see us if we don't move. Right?
we're busted.
Guys, we're coming to you live from the guarded room.
Yeah.
Staring at us now and actually knocking on the door to get the armed guard in to shoot us is Adam Payne and now I messed his name up. Payne and McKay, the two writers
I messed it up
for
for
the
you.
show.
Yeah.
I almost said
What I said.
McKay and Maine.
McCain and
We're-
Maine.
So, no. Phew, we made it out. That was just a little fantasy we were having there of
Yeah.
being locked in that writer's room. I'm sure you guys are having it too with all this show news that's coming out.
Yeah.
And with it being so hot on the presses, we wanted to actually take a chance to maybe not get ahead of the game, because we can't do that, but to stay in the game. And so even though this is a part 2 episode coming out previously recorded, we wanted to do a little show news and just talk about because more stuff has come out even since we talked last week, Ez.
Yeah, I know.
There has been another map that's been revealed and more names on there and another line of the Ringverse. So
It's huge, man. It's, by the way, should we be whispering still, or are we good? We're already caught. Okay,
we're
cool.
fine. Yeah.
All right, good.
I think the level's reloading.
Oh, okay, good. So we're
You
starting.
know, yeah. We lost our life.
Oh my gosh.
0 health.
All right, good. But no, yeah, there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
and
Where do you want to start? Because I know you have a little vision for.
Well, first of all,
For once, Ez has some show vision here.
dude, what's crazy is
He's getting all possessed.
I am proud of us, and I am proud of my friend Lane Smith for being excited about the. Was I excited? Yes, but was I this excited? No. I am so stoked just seeing that. They could have. Okay, I'll tell you what. It had nothing to do with the images or the quotes. Mm-hmm. If I would have just known that they made a Twitter page and a Facebook,
on Prime.
Loader on Prime. If I would have known, that alone would have
That's enough.
That's enough.
Well, and here's the thing, Ez. It's easy to be. It's hard to be excited when it's all hearsay and speculation, and the behind the scenes stuff can just get kind of old. Like we talked about last week. It's nice to finally be talking about real information instead of this is how much they paid for the rights. This is what it might be about.
Yep.
This is who's writing it. As interesting as that stuff can be, after a while you're like, come on, can we get some advancement on this?
Right.
And it's happened all of a sudden. And I wanted to lay those tracks because I knew how excited you would get when this started to kind of pick up and take off. And we're still a couple years out.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Oh yeah.
They've got a time frame to get this released and get it all done and everything. But it's that much closer. The details are only going to be juicier and juicier, and the way they're releasing it in this sort of cryptic way that we have to decipher and read between the lines and think, what is this going to be? Not only what is it going to be, when is it going to be?
Right. Yeah. Big question.
It's just a lot of fun, and and I'm sure they've got their finger on the pulse, going. Even though they're locked in a room, which I want to talk about because it's just crazy.
Yeah,
not locked in a room, but guarded. Supposedly. Bounders on the edge of the Shire, if you will. That
yeah, really, they are.
That they're probably listening and going, okay, what are people saying? What do people want? How
honestly,
are they reacting to the maps?
Yeah,
and I think they're also taking a pulse too of how Tolkien fans now are different from Tolkien fans 50 years ago.
Yep.
How deep and knowledgeable have they delved?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Where's everybody at? Where's your knowledge base?
Right, yeah.
I would say that, and I want to remind everyone in the group that the polls have never been more important.
No.
They're looking at our polls. They are.
And 342 of you voting, that's a big deal, man.
I'm just messing. But
That's a big deal.
But my thing is, so a couple things I want to get to because I'm all over the place right now, and I am so stoked about this. Am I buying over $200 worth of Middle Earth histories? Yes, I am. Okay. Did that one map cost me to go drop all that money? Yes, it did. Did I download the thank you, Susie, by the way, and my buddy Tom for the Silmarillion downloading that, starting that, getting that going. The things that it's forcing me to do, to dive into, I'm so happy that I'm there, because I wanted to, like a year ago, get into all that kind of stuff, and I started to. But now I'm like, I hear the talk, I hear the chatter. I want to know. Yeah. I want to know more. I want to learn. I want to ask others for guidance. I want to pass on what you've learned. Give it to me, because I want to give it to somebody else. Because I want it's so cool, and I'm so locked in right now that I can't get enough of it. I'm looking at maps. I just purchased like 2 maps.
Yeah, that's what you told me.
Yeah, one for my classroom, so I can look at daily.
So you don't have to have it on your phone, zoomed into that one crease. Have you figured out what that crease was? Was it just a watermark?
Oh, dude, no. There's so much more there than what we realized.
So what I'm talking about, guys, is Ezra. There was, I think we talked about this at some point. I can't remember. Was it on the Twitter, the banner image on the Twitter page?
Yep, and the Facebook.
The Facebook was like a zoomed in portion of the map that's all blank.
Yeah.
And I think it's just to provide like a texture.
Yeah, it was just texture. Yeah.
And Ezra swore that there was some hidden message
something there, man.
So he made that his lock screen
still
wallpaper. It still is.
Still right there.
He'll look at it every half an hour or so and try to decipher the indecipherable code that's there.
There's something there.
I love it though, because
I've taken it out at different times underneath different moonlights to try to see if I can get anything to show up, and I just haven't been. It's so far nothing. But
hold out your hand.
Yeah,
it's quite cool. Have you thrown it in the fire?
Should I throw it in the fire? Give it a try. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's a lot of cool stuff. Actually, funny story, guys. I logged in and I was on the Lord of the Rings on Prime Facebook page. Their profile picture was gone. So I thought my computer just hadn't loaded, and I started.
It was the Amanda internet.
I started freaking out. I was like, oh, what? They've changed their profile pic. Like, I'm losing my mind. I'm like, oh crap, it just hasn't loaded yet. Okay, whatever. That's how excited I am, though. That's how
I love, and I love that that it's created that. I think it's the buzz is, and okay, and I think part of the reason we're all so excited is the very first post they made was a Tolkien quote.
Yeah,
it wasn't something that they contrived themselves or I don't know. To me it feels like you're starting in the right spot. You're not only starting with Tolkien, but you're looking at how he started. I wisely started with a map.
Yeah.
And just playing on that theme, and it's great. It's a great marketing scheme too. That's great. We'll talk about how reportedly this is part of a campaign. Some people have this theory that it's the 3 rings and the 7 rings adds up to 10 days.
Get out of here.
And so the first one was Friday. We released on Friday. What was that? The 14th. Last Friday. Yeah. 15th. Sorry.
Okay.
Friday 15th was the first clue, and then 3 days later was the second clue, and then they're thinking 7 days later. So this is going to come out on Sunday. So tomorrow, Monday, the 25th, will be the end of that like little short 10-day campaign. So what some people's theory is, and that there'll be more revealed, either more with the map or, will they release another line of the Ringverse? Don't know. But anyway, it's just perfect. It's perfect because it feels like there's this energy that they're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And I think that was everyone's kind of fear, was that they're, will they just rush? Are they just getting this because it's a cash grab thing? They're going to make lots of money off of it.
Right.
But I think they're going to do it the right way.
Well, do you remember when you told me that when they first, learned that they were going to be the writers, they felt like they were on an adventure.
They geeked out. I think they posted something like on their Twitter accounts that we feel like a hobbit being whisked away on an unexpected adventure. And it's like they get it, man. They know that really is their role here, is that they're getting to and it shows that they're true fans. It's just right. It's perfect.
It gave me kind of that like, this is awesome.
Some assurance.
They're really into it. So
where do you want to go with this?
So I have 2 things that I wanted to get to. So there is this. I think we talked even last week with Kurt. Well, you're gonna hear Kurt again. We're still talking with Kurt. But we were talking about the One Ring, one of their articles that came out, and they were just talking about what's going on with the map and the names and
right.
All that. But the names weren't there, were they, when we were talking with Kurt?
No, they weren't. It was a blank map.
It was blank, and we were talking about how far east, north, and south it looked and everything. So
the first time it was released was Yeah, February 15th, 2019, it was the map, and it was 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, on the 18th, I believe, because it was on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Because it was when the episode came out. We're like, we just missed it again. The map with all some of the names, some of the regions on there, and the next line of 7 rings for the Dwarf Lords in their Halls of Stone was released.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So
what are some of the
let's talk a little bit. Yeah, I guess so there's an IGN article we'll post. I think it's probably been posted in the group already, where they kind of talk about, they break down a lot of what's happening with the names and trying to figure out what age this map is. And we're hobbits here, guys. I mean, I don't, this stuff is blowing me away, and that's why I'm taking the deep dive, because they're talking about some of the runes that you see, around the compass. What does that indicate? The ancient name for Rohan. You have the lack of the Gondor and Arnor. Like, you have those kingdoms are missing. Are they coming later with another tease?
Right.
Will they just add to the map, or is this the map?
Right.
Is this the map that we're gonna get? Because if this is the map, then okay, we're clearly much earlier on that this could be a pre-Aragorn, type of show potentially.
And that's pretty much the point of Rohan not being there, right?
Yeah.
Rohan's ancient name of, is it Kalanador or something like that? I can't remember. Sorry, it's not in front of me.
Yeah.
But the fact that was the name prior to the land being given to Eorl. Because it references. We're trying to fit it into a time, aren't we? Into a period in the age, and that would mean Aragorn won't be around then. He wasn't around then, so it can't focus on him if this is.
Because that could, so we'll look up more. We're going to get a little bit more deep and sweaty on the ages and where that could be and stuff. What I'd like to do is send you guys to a Twitter account here, Elf Propaganda. I guess it's at Tolkien Thought. I don't know if that's appropriate or not appropriate. I don't know what's going on there, but it's THOT. So I think that actually stands for something bad. But anyways, he's located. His location says Aragorn's broken toe. So he's obviously really into but he was actually,
which one? There were 2.
Oh yeah. Well, so, okay. See, there you go. He was quoted in this IGN. They were using some of what his breakdown of the maps. They actually used some of this Twitter conversation that he went back and forth with. One of the producers from Lord of the Rings started following him, and he like geeked out, had this huge reaction to it, and kind of went back and forth and just nerdy, really deep and sweaty kind of like Tolkien talk. It was really cool, just about the runes, where they could be, talking about on
the compass, right?
Yeah, exactly. What is that? Are those, they were talking about just the some of the dwarf language and that, where does that come? What do we know about it? What don't we know about it? When they were talking about the let's see here, where's it at? Oh, whether or not it's third or second age. He has a nice little conversation about that. When he talks about the 3 rings that were forged, for the elves, he brings up that, Galadriel, Gil-galad, and Círdan, were the wearers of those original rings, and then later on Elrond and Gandalf, wore them as well. So it's like, what? There's a story there, right? And that, in the passing on of those rings and stuff. So there's just so much more that I have never really got a chance to look into, and I'm really excited to do so. And there's a lot of you in our group, by the way, who know a lot of this stuff as well. Right. And I love again Phil's posts, about just the histories and breaking down giving us more information. It's been really good. So we'll put the link up there for the article, and you guys can go check out this Twitter account. Just kind of cool to see what's going on there.
Yeah. See, and I love it too, because I'm not, this is something this is like uncharted territory for me. These are waters I've not gotten into.
Are you in the thread kind of looking at it?
I'm sort of looking over it right now. Yeah. But, just even like, early third age, second age, first age stuff. I never have gotten into that. And it's always just been this area that I'm going to explore one day, right? It's that adventure I'll go on,
right?
Not now. I'll put it off until Gandalf comes to my door and calls me out. And so that's sort of what's happened with this whole book club thing is it's put that seed there of, okay, you know Lord of the Rings, There's always more to learn from Lord of the Rings, but there's all this backstory. There's this extra stuff that Tolkien wrote that just gives more depth to what's going on. So it's actually caused me to, and your excitement has caused me to go look at old maps. I'm looking at maps from the First Age and the forming of Middle Earth and all this stuff, and I'd never had any kind of interest in that before. Right. So that's another cool thing that this is doing.
Yeah, it's causing folks to dive back into it, right?
Conversation. Also the conversation, too, of how far east this map goes. Folks are bringing that up. How far south this map goes. Yeah. So the people, especially before the names were there, I think people were going, okay, is this going to be about how Aragorn, young Aragorn, he went out east. He went down south. He's explored those lands. And also, too, I don't know how much Tolkien wrote about those places, but I think they're pretty loosely fleshed out. I think. Yeah. I don't know for sure, but it seems like to me that's what the conversation I was seeing. But that would be awesome for a show because really you can take liberties there. Right. What exactly did Aragorn do out there? Right. Who exactly did he encounter? Did he run into the Blue Wizards? Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, or they're, because I know that there's this rumor that they formed cults out there. Sure. Who did those cults worship? Who were they fighting for? Were they aligned with Sauron at any point? Would Aragorn have had to do battle? Just like this stuff that you could have a little bit of, because that's the thing with Tolkien is you have to have the rights to do certain things. But if it's an unexplained or an unexplored region that he didn't get to, he never finished writing these. Is that something that you could take and kind of run with a little bit, which would be cool? A character that we know, but adventures that no one's ever heard of. These tales that haven't been told yet. I don't know. So
yeah, no, I'm totally 100% with you. One more thing I want to bring up about just some of the things that are being talked about is the idea that it could be anything from the exiled. He says the exiled Dunedain coming and settling there back in Middle Earth, and things. It could be
even people were talking about the deforestation. They were like, that happens from the Numenorians.
Blew me away.
I know, me too. They were like, so they're taking all these clues. These are people who you uppers.
That's just based off a map. That's
right.
Yeah,
and this is you guys who know this stuff so well. You've sat and looked at these old maps, and you're friends with them. Know these things. You're like Bob Ross. You know the trees. Yeah, right. The happy little trees, and you're looking at this, going, "Okay, that deforestation happened from the Numenorians. It has to place this map during this time." I mean, even also just the who was it? Ephraim right away said Third Age because of the way the land is formed now. We forget that there was all that land lost right after it was after the First Age.
Yeah, the shaping. Okay.
Yeah. So the reshaping of Middle Earth. So all these clues that you guys are picking up, and then the historic name of Rohan, that also pinpointing it into a certain age. The fact that we haven't listed Mordor yet. Yeah. Gondor hasn't been filled in yet. So is that going to happen on Monday? I don't know.
Right. We don't know if there are other layers to this map, though, which is what I was wondering is, are there other layers, or
is the island of Numenor out there?
Yeah. Because they don't have to tweet. I don't know. They don't have to tweet an update on the map. They could actually do something, a different image. They could send us a picture of something.
Old Aragorn on a hunt.
One of Tolkien's old maps, and we could be like, well, why are they referencing that? Something that he had in his books or something. I don't know.
It's crazy, man.
So one more thing too that I'd like to point out. A good resource, and I had a Twitter conversation a little back and forth with the Tolkien professor and Corey Olson.
You guys are starting a bromance, aren't you?
I love. He's such a good dude.
Should I be worried? Or?
No. I'd love to have him on though sometime. To be quite frank.
Could we just like be like Hobbit children, and he could just tell us stories?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you could just read the Silmarillion to me,
he's a professor.
Explain it to me.
He's a professor,
right?
Just a real cool guy. So there's he does a lot of detailed walkthroughs of some of those histories that are a little bit
show me videos on YouTube.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about him, and I'm really going to give him a hard plug here because I have been, he's not anyone who shares a theory or a thought or has questions about the Silmarillion. He's really good at saying, I like what you're saying. I like what this, and this, but let me tell you what, all of my years of knowledge have led me to seeing X, Y, and Z, and don't forget about this little line or this little passage or this influence here. And he's very easy going about how he delivers that. So I don't know. He's a teacher, man. Yeah. And it's really cool. So I have picked up the Silmarillion again. Back in my youth, I picked it up, put it down. Picked it up when we started this podcast, started a good chunk of it, put it down. and I've picked it up again because I'm excited and I want to really.
Is that the third time, Matt?
That's the third time.
There's power in that.
There's power, so I am ready to go, my friend. So we've had a really good. Thanks for everybody who's retweeted and liked and that exchange back and forth. I really had a lot of fun. With that. So there's that. What else did I want to kind of talk about here? I don't know. Just other than I'm excited. And,
it's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we also had this conversation. Is this all just to? I mean, is it just to mess with us? Is it just to get us?
That's fine.
Talking? Is it just to get a pulse on? I honestly think. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think because I'm really like the perfect. In my Butterbur mode, I'm like the perfect consumer. Mm-hmm. Put it out there, and I'm not going to necessarily question it. I'm not going to analyze it to death, partially because I don't know, but also because I just want to see what's going to happen. I'm an audience member. I'm not creating the show. I'm not in on the show. Right. I just want to see it unfold.
I'm also entertained by folks who are what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and I think it takes all kinds of audience members too. So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, now how much of this is them just wanting to see what people know? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people have impressed them, and that's why like this guy is getting followed by the show now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's because he's pointing out stuff that either they haven't made note of, or the shape of the land or forests, or the fact that they use that older name for Rohan, and that he's kind of like not calling them out on this, but like, hey, I see what you're doing here. My knowledge is great too. And I think that's fascinating because they're seeing that, they're noticing that, and they're going, okay, so we could put many layers in this show for people who have this knowledge, but also people who have my knowledge, and make an enjoyable show. Because that's what writers are doing. They're sitting there and they're trying to think, how can we sculpt this thing that's going to engage the maximum audience of Tolkien fans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you go too far on the Hobbit side, you're going to annoy fans who don't know, or who know the stories very, very well.
Sure.
If you go too far into just the text and go only on that, you're going to lose a lot of people who would just watch it because, I like the movies, man. I like the movies.
Yeah.
You got to get a wide base of people, and you want your audience to be maximized. Yeah. So that also might be something they're doing too, because I mean, everyone's fascinated by this right now, which is good.
Yeah. Do I kind of believe they could start almost, we're going to talk about this, I think, in the next episode, just what they have the rights to exactly. So we'll get there. But like, what, I mean, isn't it, they could start almost anywhere. And as they march through, you're just, as a consumer, you're like, do I like this story that they're telling me or not? They could choose the story. Those who are immersed in it and know a lot about it, they might be more critical. But when you think about that general, like you're talking about, that big fan base, what is going to land with them? Yeah, that's a skill. You've got to kind of like, what worked in book form, maybe isn't going to be able to work in this TV show format as well. But I think it's going to work better than it would if it were in a movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's what's kind of neat, that we've raised the production level of TV shows to where this is going to be epic. And
you're stretching it out over, instead of hours, tens and 20s of hours, like hundreds of hours potentially. I think the other thing too is that I think that they're kind of, so the Tolkien estate is passing down, right? It's moving. It's moved from Christopher, who it was his life calling to defend his father's works and make sure. And Professor Tolkien wasn't really. He didn't like the idea of like adaptations necessarily. Sure. I mean, he I think the Beatles came to him at one point and wanted to make an adaptation, and they were actors in it, and he was like, no, I don't think so. He was very, and rightly so, guarded on how his stories were represented and interpreted. So, but I think as time goes on, that's softened, right? Mm-hmm. And I think maybe I don't know who is in charge of the estate now. It's passed on, passed down, but maybe they're more open to this. Clearly they are to have this show, to be able to produce the show. But so maybe what's happening too is you've got a couple seasons here, and we're going to go out and we're going to press them with what we've done. Yeah. And then maybe we get more rights. Maybe we get the rights to the Silmarillion, and we can do that after 2 or 3 seasons. And maybe we have multiple shows going on. We've got the third age. We've got the second age.
They
We've
could
got the
create.
first age.
I never thought about that, but that is sort of like if you look at what Disney has done with Star Wars, they're all over the place in the timeline.
Yeah.
So you couldn't you? I mean, you could say we're going to start a little TV situation here. We might even do a movie standalone here. We might do. I don't know.
I mean, the door. What they're going to do here is they're going to audition and open the door, and I think blow the door down. I have a lot of faith, man. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
They've also said from the beginning too that this might be an anthology. Yep. So that goes to your idea of just a story here. Maybe we do young Aragorn for the first season. Yeah. The first season's 10 episodes, and that's it. And the second season, we're back in the founding of Rohan or I don't know, whatever. And then you're jumping around all over the place.
As long as,
you go back to Sauron and the Forging of the Ring. Right. Like,
and to help make it, reach that larger audience, you just let people know this is this many years before this event that or it was after this,
Couldn't you go on forever?
Oh,
that
gosh.
format?
Forever. Yeah, I think you could. Yeah.
Because then you're not reliant on the same actors coming back.
I say let's do it. Let's go.
I'm down.
I'm there. Whatever they want to do right now, I'm
life.
ready to consume. And I'm watching this Twitter page and this Facebook page like crazy, looking for any changes and updates. Just cannot wait. So
very exciting. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we want to do right now. Just a quick little, just some bits on the show news there, and then we have an epic conversation right now about Faramir with our good friend Kurt Jones, and I hope you're enjoying that voice.
Man, I tell you what, guys.
I
just think like all the uppers. They could all. I mean, that's part of why this book club's so great. Is when we've talked to people, we've heard their voices. We're like, man, come on, you're putting us out of a job here.
Yeah, you are.
Like, what are you doing? You're just gonna. You don't need me anymore. You got Kurt. Bring Kurt in.
Yeah.
Get Chase over.
Exactly.
Get the Shire rats.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens.
One day. That's a great idea.
It's fine.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah. And then maybe we can finally start our podcast. I don't know.
Now that we're in a lighter mood,
yes,
I have to touch on this bit.
What do you got?
I have to touch on this bit with Sam and Faramir early on.
Yeah.
It's just too much sauce.
His hands on his hips.
It's just so good.
Where are we at here?
See here, Captain. He planted himself squarely in front of Faramir, his hands on his hips, and a look on his face as if he was addressing a young hobbit who had offered him what he called sauce when questioned about visits to the orchard. And I love the bit on down.
Patience.
There was some murmuring, but also some grins on the faces of the men looking on. The sight of their captain sitting on the ground, eye to eye with a young hobbit, legs well apart, bristling with wrath, was one beyond their experience. It's just too good. I love Sam.
I love it when he bristles up.
He's so good.
It's great.
And that's the thing. His courage, right? Yeah. And I have that written down here. Sam's courage.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you are, who you are, who you think you are. Mm-hmm. If you mess with his master, it is on.
That's right, man.
He is bringing it game on. He's going to jump up.
The pots and pans are out.
We see it time and time again.
Yeah, we do.
He's done it multiple times.
Yes.
And gosh, does he do it in the end? I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't made it that far yet.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. It really is amazing. I mean, because you have in the same around the same time that you have Captain Faramir showing his quality, you got old Samwise doing the same here.
He's showing his quality.
Yeah,
that's a good.
It is interesting how
connection.
They're both so pure of heart. I don't know, and I don't know. Yeah, wow.
That's why they're my faves.
But I like how Faramir also says, "Hey, patience."
Yeah.
You speak, what does he say? Do not speak before your master whose wit is greater than yours.
Indeed.
Is it?
Is it?
Is it?
I love how he says, too. He says, were I as hasty as you, I might have slain you long ago.
Don't be hasty.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Treebeard, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's picking up some of that tree wisdom.
Yeah, there's just an honesty, though. There's a pureness to him that sometimes I think is wise, that it is just I don't know I don't know, and it's funny because later on Faramir will kind of claim it's fate that he does have these outbursts and some of these things come from Sam, and it's okay, it's all good, it's all meant to be kind of thing. So all right, let's move on.
We were talking about the horn, right? How the horn was found.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have that?
You have anything on the horn?
Well, let me get him on the horn here real quick. So he tells a little bit about the history of it, right? And we talked about this, how it it was an heirloom, and how the two halves are now with Denethor. That it was returned to him. How he found it, and just how it's kind of a strange occurrence that he was able to find the horn.
It's the horn is, and it's, where's the part where he actually finds it, though? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Is that a little bit later? Because we have the vision, right? And what's missing, the one piece that he's looking for, is that horn. And in the vision, he didn't see it, correct? Am I wrong about that?
I don't remember.
Could be wrong.
I thought it was kind of off. It wasn't in the
boat. What I'm asking, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, but one thing I missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
yes,
so
right.
What I think is interesting is that that is what washes up with the arrows and some of the stuff that they find, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe I misread that, though. I need to go back and look.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's something that was, and that's interesting too, because if it that's symbolic too, because that's not passing on to the afterlife, right? That horn is there. Is that a symbol of Boromir's place being passed down to Faramir?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting because Boromir would eventually become the steward.
The eldest son has always carried it.
Yeah, he's dead now, so Faramir is the only son, and being the eldest, and it's almost like this passing. Interesting. But yeah,
it's interesting where the horn comes from too, right? So a great horn of the wild ox of the east, bound with silver and written with ancient characters. Guys, so how ancient is this? A magical horn? Is this something?
And this is why I wouldn't mind these being made into a TV series.
Yeah.
We could just, this is something, if you never read the books, you just go, cool horn, man. Yeah. It's the detail, and this is Faramir talking about it. This is such an important, I don't know. It's just such an important part of their family and the story. Crazy. It's crazy.
It takes us back to the idea that if it's blown within the bounds of Gondor, as the realm was of old, which is interesting.
Right,
so they make connection to as the realm was of old, its voice will not pass unheeded. It's cool. That's cool.
So cool.
But then again, that's Faramir telling us that. And this, as Kurt was saying, he's got that ever on his mind. That's what he was taught as a child, growing up. And so there's that lore associated with the horn.
Yeah.
He thought he heard something distantly.
Yeah.
And he knows his brother has it.
I like I like that I like the idea that no matter where it's blown, it will not go unheeded.
Yeah.
And I think there's a caveat to that immediately after. I'm not looking at the text, but it says as Gondor was of old, or something like that, which tells me maybe the population was spread out a little more at one point. And I'm thinking really literal here. I'm not thinking figuratively. I'm thinking literally. No matter where you were, if you blew that thing, somebody's probably going to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's also a nod to the fact that the enemy has grown back into their boundaries.
Right. Yeah. So you're seeing peoples compressed, coming together into smaller areas for protection from the enemy, where they used to maybe were more spread out.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a thought.
Diminishing.
There's nothing to support that. That's just me thinking.
Okay. Yeah. I think there's a Kurt who's supporting that.
Now,
I approve it.
I am going to move us
ahead, please.
Just a little bit. Is it okay?
Sure.
Yeah. And if you stop me, if there's something you wanted to get to, just let me know. It's okay.
A whole lot of book left.
A whole lot.
Yeah, there is.
I'm going to move to the point where basically there's some arguing back and forth, but then Frodo decides he needs to fall in line with this request. There's a request made by Faramir to go with him, right?
Yes.
So that they gather him up. Sam already burst forward there and kind of defended his master, got put in his place, back and forth.
Is this where we start walking and there's hushed voices? They start talking in whispers. Yeah.
Right. And you've got Damrod. They're in and out doing their thing, skirting on either side of everything. Neat little kind of visual. I imagine I can almost see them blending in and out of the trees.
Absolutely.
And what
silently
have you.
moving.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Just real cool scene. Isildur's Bane is what kind of comes back up. And that's the big, talking point here as they go. And he kind of says, I do not blame you, kind of for holding back on some of those.
You were not wholly frank with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spoke with a skill in a hard place. You spoke with skill in a hard place and wisely, it seemed to me. So it's cool. He's weighing this, he's weighing Frodo to see.
Giving him a compliment, too.
Yeah.
You did the right thing.
This is, handled yourself well there.
Yeah.
And so he builds a lot of respect for him. So,
yeah. Frodo's sharp. And we get to see a lot of his sharpness and wit on display in his interaction with Faramir here. Because think about it, he's a hobbit,
right?
I mean, he's an extraordinary hobbit, but he's a hobbit,
right?
And he's quick on his feet. I told no lies, and of the truth all I could.
Yeah.
Right, and then as Faramir continues to ask questions and dig a little deeper, Faramir throws out like an archery-esque type of analogy. Do I not hear near the mark? Do I not hit near the mark?
Yep.
Which on the surface you can just kind of read over that, and Frodo responds very quickly, near, but not in the gold.
Yeah.
Which is to say, you're close, but you didn't hit the bullseye.
Right, exactly.
I mean, to just be that quick.
Yeah, it is.
Coming back at a captain of Gondor, a man of rank, who is interrogating you.
Yep. Whose brother tried to kill you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And
Frodo
just
there.
immediately picked up on this. You want to talk archery? Okay.
Yeah.
And he just spits it right back. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's really it's clever. It's wordsmithing. It's great.
It's quick wit.
Yeah. So the conversation kind of moves on to he's digging at because earlier we didn't we kind of combed right past it, but the idea that Boromir is Frodo's friend. And there was a hesitation earlier on in the chapter, and now we're diving a little bit more deeper into that because he noticed the hesitation. He noticed that there was something he was holding back about, and it is about Isildur's Bane and the use of it. What he kind of starts to think, well, maybe. It was.
He talks about fate again here. Just real quick, he says, "Alas, it is a crooked fate that seals your lips, who saw him last, and holds from me what I wish, that I wish long to know, what was in his heart and thought in his latest hours. Whether be erred or no, of this I am sure he died well, achieving some good thing. His face was more beautiful even than in life." Because he was also talking about contention within the group, and Frodo reassured him. He's like, "No, there was no, people weren't fighting amongst themselves." Which essentially, again, the idea of fate comes up again.
Yeah, it does. I thought this bit just real quickly because I'm gonna just pull a couple things here. The stewardship, right, and their line and where they came from, not being of Elendil's line, but having the blood of Numenor is interesting to me. Didn't really know that before I had reread this exactly, and so that was kind of cool. And then he talked about this ambition, that Boromir knew that he wasn't descended of a king necessarily,
and how long
that always bothered him.
And how long do the stewards wait before they are the kings? Essentially,
right. I like that.
Which
is a boy. I mean, that's a fair question coming from a boy.
Sure, yeah.
How long should we wait? It's been hundreds of years.
Right.
And honestly, aren't they? Do some sort of, I don't know.
Sure.
Reward, not reward.
Yeah,
but
that's
they've served in this role, in this capacity, and that's what Boromir has kind of.
I see.
When he's talking to Aragorn, even at the council, he talks about the valor of the men of Gondor and all that they've faced, and that we keep the enemy at bay. We're right there fighting day in and day out
by the blood of our people.
Yeah, and it's like Aragorn is doing different things in the north and what have you, but where are these kings? Where are these great kings? And here the stewards are doing this great work.
Yeah,
why don't we give them a little cred?
Yeah.
And
that is a valid point.
And it's like once he feels like he has that ring within his grasp, I mean, Faramir is just kind of saying, I know my brother, and I can sort of see how I pressed you a little hard on Isildur's Bane, but now I do want to more gently kind of ask if there was a division between you and he because of it. And I can see why there would be, maybe.
Yeah. And I guess I'm seeing it right now for the first time, that's in Boromir's mind, that's what he had to do for the stewards to become king. Was for him as a steward to not make the same mistake Isildur did and to use the ring to defeat the enemy and by defeating the enemy, raising the status of the stewards to the king, like almost forcing a return of the king in a different way. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting. It's interesting how his mind was working, right? Because and this is also this. It makes a lot of sense. Frodo's hearing this, and he's like, "Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense now." Hearing that he always kind of had this within him. Gandalf comes up here too, doesn't he?
He does.
The Grey Pilgrim.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how Faramir didn't necessarily know, in full who he was. Right?
No, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, he
knew him as a scholar, like someone who read the text.
Oh yeah, and how he didn't know that he was a great mover of things, of events.
Yeah, which is such a Gandalf thing.
And he's reflecting on his boyhood and some of his comings and goings, and how did he persuade his father, to let him into some of these secrets, some of the things that are kept. I didn't realize how it's not like a public library that anybody can go in and out of.
Right.
I mean, this is
the next page I have it written. I said we forget that knowledge of the ring was so limited, right? And the fate of the ring, I guess, right? Like these details aren't things that necessarily everyone would know.
True.
Right? Like
the fate of the ring is strictly legend.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, because he's guessing at what Isildur's Bane is, right? The whole
exactly.
time.
He doesn't know it's a ring.
Right.
Yeah. So to your point, knowledge of the ring,
right,
for what it is very limited.
Very limited.
That's why it's such a huge deal that Sam says something later.
I know.
It's like, okay.
Spoiler alert.
It's radical. So to move us through that, the whole Grey Pilgrim piece is cool. I mean, I would bog us down for a long time thinking more about that. You actually get, Gandalf's name in different.
I love what he says.
Yeah, what's he say?
Valorin. And
many are my names in many countries.
Yeah.
Thrandir among the elves. Tharkun to the dwarves. Olorn I was in my youth in the west that is forgotten.
Yeah.
And in the south in Canis. In the north Gandalf. To the east I go not. I love that. So Gandalf.
Yeah. And it's,
it is.
It's just pretty neat to see those names. And I love that this is just subtly mentioned, but in my youth in the west that is forgotten.
Yeah.
Just
in Valinor.
Real quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Real quick.
And I just skip right over it.
Yeah. So that's cool. And we got that in the film, him going back there and tearing through the the archive, the records, whatever it may be.
Smoke pouring.
Yeah. It's a great little scene. So let's see here. Let's move on. Where else can I take us here? Oh, okay. So much that he had learned. So Faramir starts to talk about how that Gandalf sometimes taught as well, and taught them on lore and these different matters. But some of the things that he had learned about, Isildur's Bane, his suspicions and things that he had, felt. He didn't convey them to Gandalf, did he? No, but he wishes almost that he would have, because he could have, maybe shed some more light on this. Let's see. Oh, nor when the riddling words of our dream were debated among us did I think of Isildur's Bane as being the same thing. For Isildur was ambushed and slain by orc arrows, according to the only legend that we knew. Okay.
So this is where they kind of thought that maybe the Isildur's Bane was that arrow. Is that something that came up too? Or is that just something I got?
Let's see.
I didn't pick up on that.
A fell weapon?
Well, this is way back, like at the beginning too. I think he was trying to guess at what Isildur's Bane was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that something that happened?
Some type of weapon.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
He's just thinking it's some kind of heirloom or weapon.
Right.
Yeah. He has no idea what it is.
Okay. Gotcha.
I love how his voice sank to a whisper here too. Like this should be more secretive, and he's even. They were hushed before, now they're whispering, so the rest of the men can't.
Oh yeah.
Can't hear them.
Yeah, I love that. I love to read that whole section like that.
Yeah, he makes a proclamation here. What does he say? Something that
beautiful.
When it comes to, I can't find it right now in the text, but yeah,
is it when he talks about but fear no more? I would not take this thing if it lay by the highway.
Yes.
Not where Minas Tirith falling in ruin, and I alone could save her. So using the weapon of the Dark Lord for her good and my glory. No, I do not wish for such triumphs, Frodo, son of Drogo.
Right.
And so this is a point that okay, just real quick, because we're going to talk about the character of Faramir, right?
Yeah. Oh,
just like the difference between the film and the book.
Yeah, I think it's worth touching that and Denethor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something that I remember for the appendices. It's Philippa Boyens talking, and she said that the reason they decided to go a different direction with Faramir is, you've got a character who says this line right here, and her claim was that it strips the ring of all its power. Mm-hmm. And I don't get that. I don't understand that. I think what that line does right there is it shows the great overcoming power of goodness. I think what you do when you change Faramir in the movies is you try to discount the possibility of someone being more good than evil. And I think it was a huge missed opportunity. I hate this. I hate this part in the film. Mm-hmm. I hate how it switches from you have Faramir trying to be Boromir. And it's just so untrue to his character in the story, the way Tolkien wrote him. They're supposed to be opposites. They're supposed to be different.
Yeah.
And this, I'm sure you've thought about this long and hard, but it's just something that I think they got wrong. You're not, and maybe in the film you had to do it, whatever, to build tension. I understand that the pacing is different, but what that does, that line for me, is it shows that, hey, there is hope in goodness, that it is possible to overcome this temptation of the ring. And the temptation of ultimate power.
It's nice to believe that, and that's sort of what Elrond, or is it Gandalf? Someone says it talks about the hope that still. Yeah, they're talking about Aragorn a lot, but I love looking at Faramir and saying, well, we have another example here of somebody who's pretty good.
He's very Aragorn-like.
Yeah, just because the men's hearts are continually evil type of thing. Yeah, right. Doesn't mean that you can't find something there that is good, true, pure, not corrupt. Kind of not incorruptible, but just handles it better. Is what we all should work and strive to be.
Yeah, he was prepared.
Yeah,
it seems like he was mentally prepared.
Yes,
based on limited knowledge. He doesn't know what it is.
Yeah,
he just knows that no good will come of it.
Yeah, like he's predetermined. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm not going to take it.
Who taught him that? It doesn't seem like he had as much knowledge or Elrond and the elves seem to know quite a bit, and they're taught and instructed about just, I don't know, how to pass that type of test. I don't know.
It may seem more simple, but doesn't it kind of sound like things that Sam has said before too? It's an absolute. It's like I wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it if it saved my city. The very thing that he's out there to protect and defend. He said if that was the one thing, I wouldn't do it because it's wrong.
Uh-huh. He does say something interesting a little bit later though, where he talks about like that he knows who these rangers, these men of Gondor are, etc., that would boast about something like this, and then once it's said, they would live up to the mark that they set. They set the bar here with their words, and then he knows that by nature.
He's talking to Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit later on.
He's talking about, men of God, soldiers of Gondor, men of their word.
Yeah.
When you say it, you do it. You do it. No matter, even if it doesn't quite turn out.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
the way you thought it was going to be. You still go through with it, or you die trying.
Yeah, that's why this sort of comes out of, he planned to say that. He was waiting for the moment to put it there, let it sit. Remember I said that, let time pass. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. And then he himself is building himself up. No, I've made that statement now.
Yep.
I will live up to that.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
So excuse me. Yeah.
And almost kind of righting the wrongs that Boromir kind of, made towards Frodo, and he sort of in I don't know, not tarnished the reputation a little bit, but kind of. Like Frodo's impression of Gondor is not necessarily a good one. You know what I mean? Based on his interaction with Boromir, and so Faramir, whether he premeditated that or not, he's repairing that, he's fixing that in the same way that he is, fighting to bring good back and repair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's fascinating, guys.
Do you have anything?
Are we at 4 hours now?
We could probably take this for as long as we want. You know what I might do is let's just take our time. Let's just do what we want to do. And
I love it, man.
And honestly, there's no reason to. We can
make this couple episodes.
Yeah. If we have to. I'm not worried about that at all because I'm having too much fun. I'm actually really enjoying this.
Me too.
But what I thought we would try to do is maybe jump to where, like the blindfolding, or is there something before that, Kurt, that you wanted to talk about where? Because right now, basically,
there were about 10 things I wanted to talk about before that.
What do you got? What do you got? Come on.
This chapter is just chock full.
No, this is why. This is why I say that. Don't worry about time,
time
because
is not a
we can.
I
cut
mean, if
this
we're going
up.
to talk about comparing film Faramir,
we want to talk
to
about that.
book Faramir.
We do want to talk about that.
Let's do it.
Film Denethor to book Denethor. And I know this chapter isn't about Denethor, but the bit about where we touched on earlier, where Boromir is frustrated. How long does it take for us to be the king? And Denethor, of all people, right? And granted, I'm a movie buff, right? I'm coming in this from movie perspective, and I understand that book and movie Denethor are slightly different. But Denethor's response is few years, maybe, in other places of less royalty. In Gondor, 10,000 years would not suffice. All right, so what he's saying is the lineage that we hold here is more important than my own
ambition.
My ambition, ennoblement, my...
I see.
Yeah.
It's more important than me being king.
Yep.
Right. And I think that says a lot about Denethor.
It does.
Yeah.
And you're right that's a deviation from what we see in the films.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean
he's just
big time.
Yeah. He's all about being king. And Book Faramir, he's well aware. We talked about this. He's well aware of the peril of Isildur's Bane, whatever it may be. And in movie, Faramir is just more preoccupied with pleasing his father.
Yep.
He wants more than anything to make his dad happy. And I don't really get that in the book. All right. So back to your point, Lane. Yeah, it kind of bugs me what they did to Faramir in the movie. And I almost wonder, because he doesn't actually see the ring in the book. He even says it at one point, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know any more of it than I already do, which is too much.
It's huge.
But he sees it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. Maybe we can say, well, he didn't see it, so maybe it wasn't that big of a temptation after all.
Sure.
I don't know. Wouldn't pick it up on the highway. Which, by the way, highway seems like an odd word to find in Lord of the Rings.
Tell us the derivation. Come on.
If you're curious, it is Old English. Highway, Heaah.
Okay.
W-E-G.
Yeah, baby.
All right, so.
Wow.
Okay.
Tolkien's a genius.
It just seemed out of place to me, so I had to find out.
I-70.
Highway.
Hey, there's the ring.
Yeah, I know. Highway. When I think of highway,
Yeah.
I think of a paved road.
Crap. You said something there, and it got me going, and I lost it. Lauterbur, one thing drives out another.
Happens.
Yeah.
Gotta mail that letter to Gandalf. From Gandalf.
Yeah.
Crap.
I'm sorry, you want to go into the blindfolding?
What? No. Do you have anything else though? They're like just kind of in that because I.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
I remembered. No,
ahead,
it's because my uncle Joe is the one who we went with him the very first time that I was exposed to Lord of the Rings. When the Fellowship of the Ring came out, it was his idea. He had read it. He was a fan of the books. Hardcore book guy. Doesn't love the films because of some of the decisions that they made. I think my uncle's a guy who would like to see them remade as a television series and stick truer to the books, because that was one of the things he talked about. He didn't even like necessarily the way Aragorn is portrayed all the time, as being kind of more reluctant. He saw him, and you do see it. You see him in the books. He's more just kind of waiting for his time. He doesn't shy away from necessarily being. I mean, we see him flex his muscle at Edoras, right? He talks about, you touch my sword, I'm going to kill you. Aragorn in the films, not so much.
Yep.
So he had a huge issue with the way Faramir was portrayed. He hated it. He didn't like it, and I think maybe it was him who planted that seed in my head, where he said, "Why can't?" So he's like, "So you're telling me no one could be that good? Why not? Isn't that what the hope is in?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're supposed to try to be?" And he's comes from a Christian lens, so he sees Jesus as the ultimate. Could we ever reach that example? No. But
that's what
I believe
for.
in that, and that's what I should try to aim for.
Yeah.
I think almost it's kind of a more humanistic approach to Faramir they took. Like, well, no one can be this good. He's got daddy issues, and it'll be relatable. And so in that, to put it bluntly, I guess that's not very eloquent, but that's kind of the message, or that's sort of the portrayal I get of Faramir in the movies.
Exactly the portrayal you get.
Yeah, he's very relatable. He is relatable that way, because you immediately understand. He's less of a, I want to be like Faramir and more like I can relate to Faramir. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And it helps create some drama for the film. It helped them, you know, not be as complicated or more complicated. And, but anyway.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I think in the films they had already set the ring up as this overpowering.
Sure. Well, that's part of the reason they cut Bombadil out too.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because they didn't want to show.
Yeah,
right.
So, I mean, when Faramir sees it and he understands what it is, how could he not fall for it?
How could you? Right. Yep. Yeah.
That would kind of diminish the power of the ring.
Which for a film, maybe that's how you have to do it. You know,
it's at one point Faramir is compared to a wizard. You know, in this chapter,
Uh-huh.
and it reminds me.
Sam.
It reminds me of Gandalf knows that he don't tempt me, Frodo. Don't tempt me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well done.
That's brilliant.
And so excuse me. So some of that you can't make me laugh. I'm going to be confident.
As is dying.
Like crazy.
Upper respiratory.
Upper respiratory. But he does he not though? Kind of have that same wisdom that he doesn't want to be tempted. He doesn't want to see it. Don't show it to me. He doesn't say what Gandalf says per se, but I just thought it was cool. There's a parallel between him being a wizard from Sam and Sam knowing how Gandalf and others, you know, kind of, I don't know, resisted the ring.
No, that's a great point. Yeah.
Okay, so back into the text here. Just the next little bit is a discourtesy, right? So we have to blindfold.
Yeah.
You know, the hobbits.
I like how he approaches it too. He wants to make sure it's done respectfully and without
Don't
pain.
bind their hands.
Right.
Not too tight.
Yep. Make sure they,
exactly.
it's not uncomfortable for them.
And they're willing to do it, and he sees that as a mark of, you know, that's it's interesting that, you know, what a mark.
No, this would just be a funny thing to witness because it's kind of like, okay, guys, this is going to be awkward.
Yeah.
We got to blindfold you. It's just something we do here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well,
We've already done this, right? Even the elves do this.
Yeah.
Frodo and I did it on our own one time.
I like how he calls up Gimli. The dwarf took it ill, but the hobbits endured it. I love that.
Yep.
He's
got to make that.
Poor
Gotta
Gimli.
make that point.
He's getting beat up.
Yeah.
And they're headed to a place called Window on the West.
Yeah.
You know, or
Tenethanun.
Window to the West. Yeah.
And you?
There you go.
And what was the other? You had a word here that translates to. Didn't you, Kurt, somewhere?
Moon, right? The moon.
Sure. That's for Ithilien.
Yeah, there you go.
What'd you have?
Tenethanun is Sindarin for window on the west, window to the west, window of sunset, sunset west, kind of interchangeable depending on who you ask.
Sure.
Since we're there.
Yeah.
Ithilien, the base word Ithil, moon.
Okay.
Right. We see that. And I think I found it on Gateway that Ithilien is loosely named after Isildur. That name was kind of brought about when that realm was being established. I couldn't find anything to actually back that.
Sure.
And
I like that.
It seems more closely tied to that moon base word than Isildur to me. But
and if you look at Ithilien too, and I didn't before I found this map, it's kind of in a crescent moon shape.
Oh, no kidding! You think that's?
I don't. There's probably no connection there, but I noticed that because I looked at the map. I'm like, that looks like a crescent moon kind of.
No, there could very well be. Yeah,
maybe.
That would be cool.
Yeah, well, that's
I don't
amazing.
know, but yeah, that's just cool. I mean, he was. We talk about it all the time. He was so intentional.
Yeah.
And everything he did, and he put layers upon layers, and
I wouldn't doubt that one bit.
Yeah.
Blindfolded.
Yeah, so we're blindfolded. We're taking it well. He made sure that they didn't stumble along the way and what have you. And they kept hearing the water. So it is very much like the film. They are kind of behind a waterfall, correct?
Yeah.
I mean,
and even getting past at places, right? The hobbits are passed from men to men upon
right. They lose track.
Picking them up and handing them to them. Yeah.
Right, and they get kind of turned around and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, so they definitely lose track of where they're going.
But you're right. I did imagine, like I could visualize the movie at this part.
Yeah.
I was like, they nailed this. This was
they did a good job on Tenethanun.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So eventually they realize where they're at. They're able to see this polished stone, this wet floor.
Yeah.
This rough-hewn gate of rock opening dark behind them. They're in this cave behind a waterfall, which is really, neat and
beautiful in a way, isn't it?
Yeah,
it shouldn't be, but it is. Doesn't it? I can't remember where the part is. It doesn't. I don't have to read it exactly, but it talks about how the red light of the sunset comes through, the ever-changing color. It looks like jewels, silver, gold,
rubies, sapphires. Yeah.
It was as if they stood at the window of some elven tower, curtained with threaded jewels of silver and gold, and ruby, sapphire, and amethyst, all kindled with an unconsuming fire.
I gotta imagine Gimli would love that too. All the imagery of the stones and everything, precious.
Well, and isn't this it's so well hidden, right? It's not been discovered yet. Their hiding place, almost so well hidden that we haven't talked about him yet. But that Gollum, I mean, he's there. Does he know? Because that's in the next chapter kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the question that's right. Is he just tracking them?
Right.
And they didn't know because Sam turns around and sees him. When he's down there fishing, does he know that they're, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot to Gollum.
I know, man. He's tracking them.
Yeah.
Slippery, isn't he?
Yeah.
So.
Because that scout saw him too.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And wasn't sure if it was, you said it was a squirrel? Thought he was a squirrel.
Big black could have been a squirrel, but it was black and had no tail.
Right.
So it's probably wasn't a squirrel.
Yeah.
One of those Mirkwood squirrels.
A squirrel.
Sorry, just change books.
That's right, man. Flicker about Hobbit.
So they get.
Sorry.
Let's see here. So, he just talks about this being their refuge. It's just this their humble abode type of thing, and makes them feel comfortable. And gives them some beds. They're given, even when they eat later on. I love the image of the barrels that are rolled up. They sit on top of these big barrels, closer to the table.
They were very accomadating.
They were,
yeah,
and they gave them these nice low beds to sleep on.
Much less menacing than the film.
Yeah.
You know?
We haven't mentioned it yet, but I mean, I know folks know this, but we're actually still waiting on a decision from Faramir as to whether they can go or not and be about their business. He said, "Come with me." And,
I will decide what I must do.
Still figuring
it out. I will decide what's best for me to do and for you.
Yeah, and for you. Yeah. So he's definitely he does have a lot going on here in this region. So
were you guys blown away too by the fact that men of old had changed the course? Of this waterfall?
Yeah. That makes me think of like Orthanc, and like the men of old, like like legit Numenorians, right? They were bigger, they were stronger, they lived longer, they could do more, they were more than we are now, and they were able to change the course of this waterway and create this grot. As he calls it.
It's just, we got to read it just real quick. At one time, the water flowed down through this cave and out of the arch, but its course was changed further up the gorge by workmen of old, and the stream sent down in a fall of doubled height over the rocks far above. I mean, it's like, how do you even? And then the cool imagery too that we don't get in the movie because there's just not time for it or the need, I guess. That the fact that if you fell down into this pool at the bottom, there are. It's a deep bowl filled with knives of stone. So you got to wonder, like, did they take people to interrogate them in the past and say, hold them over the waterfall and just drop them? You know what I mean? Like, it's like like something the mob would do. You know,
very.
So there is that slight. He is very accommodating and they're very friendly, but there is that edge of this could be a dangerous place. This is a fort of sorts, but it could also be a place that you disappear and you're never heard from again.
Yep. There's only two ways out of here.
Yeah. He brings that
and
up.
there's only one way you're going to get out alive.
Yeah. Right.
It's the way you came in. So it's still a little
dangerous.
They have right to be nervous and fearful right now.
Sure. Yeah. But they are at least they have enough. They're at ease enough to get some sleep.
Yes.
Right, because that's the big thing. They get some sleep. Even though Sam kind of stays up, and I can almost imagine him halfway. He was proud of
sleep.
He could have slept for a week, but he stays up, and once they're waking, he dunks his head. They have a good laugh at him for dunking his head in there, and
I love that.
And putting a little water on the back of his neck. Just like some
rain on wilted lettuce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Set that on the ground. It's easier for you and me.
That's right.
Oh, that kind of reminds me later on when they start talking about Sam as a gardener and just what, a noble.
Held in high regard.
Held in high regard, yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
It's Anborn. It's Anborn who saw, thought he saw a giant squirrel, a large squirrel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his name. I couldn't remember exactly what it was. But
it was. And here I took his name away from him.
Was he ever really born? I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of this they're just gonna they wake up, they talk about, they get some
food, right?
Some good eats, yeah. Mm-hmm. And
they had thirds, didn't they?
They did
had their fill.
Mm-hmm.
They did not deny anything that was given,
that was offered.
Yeah,
right. Let's see.
Lord, this is a beautiful chapter.
It's a beast of a chapter.
I don't remember it being this long reading it. So that's testament to the way it reads too. I mean, I remember flying through and just being like, eating it up.
Right. So he wants him to tell the story, right? Faramir wants to know more from between Rivendell and here, what has gone on. What are some of the major events you can tell me? And he does tell him some of the events of Boromir, which is nice. Yeah. Very, very kind thing to do here. He talks about his bravery, just different times where he led the company, the wolves that he helped protect them from.
Yeah.
How he was the last one to leave when Gandalf fell.
Yeah.
Which is I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
He was the last one there.
I forgot that too.
If the lesser, weaker members of the group wouldn't have been there, that he and Aragorn probably would not have left, and maybe would
jumped
have
right down.
jumped right down as well.
Mm-hmm.
God, can you imagine that?
To fight with? No, I honestly believe that maybe they would have done that. I mean,
Gandalf!
Yeah, and they just go down there just hoping to get one plunge into that thing.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yes. For Gondor.
But it says that Frodo told many tales, yet always steered away from the matters of the quest that led back to the ring, right? Mm-hmm. So enlarging the parts about Boromir, talking about his bravery and all that good stuff. So real good gesture there. Okay, so Aragorn is forced to lead them, it talks about the split there. Where else should we go here?
Faramir talks about the lack of hope. It says, as long as we had any hope, even if Aragorn does come back with sort of a Elendil, I think it just will put off the day of evil, ultimate evil. And he talks about the term he uses that is just beautiful visual, the springless autumn. Yeah, we're a failing people, a springless autumn.
And isn't this where he goes into some of the talking about the men of Numenor were settled far?
Yeah, we're getting there. Yep,
wide on the shores. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He talks about how they kind of came there. Wow, many became enamored in the darkness and the black arts. Some were given over wholly to idleness and ease, and some fought among themselves until they were conquered in their weakness by the wild men.
Like they were divided and then taken over. Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of just talking about what happens to them and why they were this great, people deceived by Sauron, by the way. Yeah. And that was that's part of the fall of Numenor. And so anyways, he gives a little bit of the history there. Let's see.
Gosh. It's just you could blow this up forever, couldn't you?
Yeah, this is the part that I was wanting more on. Actually, I not more on, but I. So it's not said that the evil arts were ever practiced in Gondor, or that the Nameless One was ever, named in honor there.
I do want to say that that Tolkien did it first before J.K. Rowling, the Nameless One.
Oh
yeah, who shall not be named.
Absolutely.
So just if you're a Potter fan, just go ahead and remember that.
100%. By the
Tolkien
way,
did it first.
You said that back in the day, and I totally remember you saying that, and I'm like,
that's fired.
Yeah,
OG man, he's the OG.
Totally took that from.
Okay, sorry. But it's just interesting because we haven't heard him. Well, who else called him that? When did we hear that before? I can't remember.
We have heard it somewhere.
But it's just we haven't heard it for a while, have we? And that it's almost like because of the proximity they are to Mordor. The closer you get, the less you speak openly of this kind of stuff, and certainly wouldn't mention his name because you don't know who's listening. You never know. You think you're safe, but you're, even Faramir points out that we're taking you to a place that is still safe, implying that something could happen. It could be overtaken. It's not a for sure thing, but So being careful of what names you use.
Yeah, let me just read a little bit more of this, and I may stumble over some of this, but that's okay. He's talking about the Numenorians. This is it goes back to some of what Kurt was reading, and that their quest for their hunger for that endless life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Right there it is. Kings made tombs more splendid than houses of living, and counted old names in the rolls of their of their descent dearer than the names of sons.
Yeah.
They were more concerned with their lineage than they were moving forward.
Man.
Wow. And so what's this
crazy?
That last line is in the last king of the line of Anarion had no heir.
Had no heir. Yeah. He had no son. That's why they went to stewards.
Because
he went away and died and had no son. So they had to start the line of stewards.
Yeah, that's where I was. Okay.
So the line of stewards is when the Rohirrim come into play. I think it was the 12th steward, Kirion.
Okay.
Yeah, right there it is. So it came to pass in the days of Kirion, the 12th steward, that they rode to our aid, speaking of the Rohirrim. Moving on. Maybe a Rohan for that province had long been sparsely peopled. They became our allies and have ever proved true to us, aiding us at need and guarding our northern marches in the Gap of Rohan. Mm-hmm. And this is where you want to talk about high men.
Yeah, this is what I brought up earlier. And
middlemen.
Middlemen, what does all that mean? Because remember we were first learning about, when we were back in Rohan and we were learning about where they had come from and Errol and how...
Or Earl, as I call him.
Yeah. Just how was it, how he rode to their defense and was granted that land. And this is some of that telling is coming in here.
It's kind of cool. We're getting we had the Rohan perspective, and now we're getting the Gondorian.
So you have
point of view.
The original recorded history is what you're speaking of, and now we're seeing future generations studying that recorded actual history and retelling it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Jeez,
when you start putting the pieces together there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I think that what he's referring to as high men are men of direct Numenorian descent.
Okay, yeah.
And not only in that, but in their actions and in the way they esteem themselves.
Yeah.
They feel like they're much more noble. Not necessarily in a negative way to look down on others, but that their lineage provides them this nobility. And I think, where's the actual middle peoples? There we are.
I love men of twilight.
For so we reckon men in our lore. Okay. For so we reckon men in our lore, calling them the high or men of the west, which were Numenorians. And the middle peoples, men of the twilight. Right. Men of the twilight. Men of the dwindling.
In between.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of in between. Such as are the Rohirrim and their kin that dwell still far in the north.
Because we talked about the sort of the strand of Numenorian blood that was in the Rohirrim. We talked about that when we were with them, right? And even just the fact that they were bigger guys, right? They were all tall, they were all imposing, and that they had some kind of distant claim to that bloodline, but it wasn't strong. It was kind of watered down. Yeah. It's cool to come back to that.
Okay, so that was in the that was in the paragraph right above.
Yeah.
And we love them. Speaking of the Rohirrim, tall men and fair women, valiant, both alike, golden-haired, bright-eyed, and strong. They remind us of the youth of men as they were in elder days. Indeed, it is said by our lore masters that they have from old this affinity with us, that they are come from those same 3 houses of men as were the Numenorians in their beginning. And he's speaking of the original Edain in the Silmarillion, who fought in that final battle, and that's why they were awarded the island of Numenor in the first place. So he's thinking, I think he goes on to say that these men who are the Rohirrim now were distantly related to those original 3 houses, even though they weren't actually there, a part of all the action, right? They were.
Right. He says, yet such of his sons and people as went not over the sea into the west.
Did not heed
refusing
the
call.
call. There you go.
Yeah. which is interesting. So it's sort of like
loved horses too much.
Some of those descendants, some of those who didn't go, weren't, the reward was there. It was given and they didn't.
Dude, isn't that fast?
It's just is fascinating. It is. It makes me kind of appreciate the men of Rohan a little bit more.
Sure.
Just their interest and they're different. What confused me at one point was he's talking about how he felt like some of the men of Gondor were, I don't know, what's the word? Let me see if I can find it. How they almost turned back into, like they were becoming more similar to the men of Rohan, right?
Yeah. So he was talking about the leader of the Rohirrim, speaking our language at need, and if they have grown like us, then in the same regard we have grown like them.
Doesn't it kind of make you think of Ents growing tree-ish?
And trees growing into
a little bit.
yeah.
Like just this ancient, like there's this ancient lineage that, and Tolkien's like hammering this over and over again, that if you kind of let your guard on that slip, that you can change and become less, but you also have the opportunity to become, it's just crazy, dude. He echoes stuff over and over again.
Yeah, and here we go. And can scarce claim any longer the title of high.
Yeah.
The title high. We are become middlemen of the twilight.
And how
but with the memory of other things.
Yep.
Because, those men of Rohan don't have that memory of they were never their descendants or their ancestors never went there.
Yeah.
So there's that memory couldn't be there because they've never seen it or been there. It's kind of what I'm gathering from it.
Yeah, and he's also speaking of how they've grown alike in their love for war.
Yes.
Oh yeah, how warriors
and
are held,
valor and pomp and circumstance. For as the Rohirrim do, we now love war.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gondorians,
Yeah.
we love war and valor as things good in themselves, both a sport and an end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's already expressed that he doesn't like to slay man or beast needlessly.
Right.
Nor does he enjoy it when it's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the stewards. When he talks about Boromir being sort of that the prowess that he has, that warrior, like thing, that isn't necessarily what they're always. I guess that is innate in them, or something that they strive towards. I mean, he's intelligent. He's encouraged. They're more encouraged, I guess, to. Yeah, I don't know. Study, something beside just the art of war. I don't know. It seemed like that was something that was talked about at some point in here, and just how he seems to be like he's capable. He can handle himself, in these situations, as you just said. But yet he is more of a wizard. He's more of a scholar. He's more of he's interested in that kind of stuff. I don't know. Just think it's interesting. Okay, let's see. So yeah, that kind of answers a lot of my questions. That actually going through that slower, made more sense to me.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, it's a lot to digest.
So hopefully that was hopefully that was helpful for some folks.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Well, people have expressed wanting some more background too.
Yeah.
And so this is cool because we don't always have the time.
No, that's why we love Phil and we love the connections that Kurt has brought today, because
it's just able to provide that for people, give it to us, and we can really lean on Kurt to provide us with that insight. It's really cool. It's like sitting with Faramir himself. A couple of hobbits sitting with Faramir.
It sure is.
Tell us more.
The next bit here, Sam notices that he doesn't talk a whole lot about elves.
Mm-hmm.
Good old
Sam's
Sam.
always thinking about the elves, isn't he?
Wanting to hear more.
Noticed.
Love to see him someday.
Yeah. There's just really no
of course he does,
reference, right?
Elves and all, hooray.
Right. And he's just not, learned, he says, in elven lore. But there you touch upon another point in which we have changed, declining from Numenor to Middle-earth. For as he talks about how Gandalf, spoke highly of Elrond.
Yeah.
And it even talks about what's to say here, that they fought beside the elves in the first war. So well, that's going back to some of their
Silmarillion stuff. Is that what,
to some of their reward, right? I mean, that's some of the
okay.
Yeah,
He's talking about when they banished Melkor.
Yeah, and the relationship was, was good there. So, but and that has changed. It's another thing that has caused them to be similar to, the other men of this land. And there's not, I don't know. I wonder, are the men of the Rangers of the South as close as is Aragorn just himself close with the elves in the in Rivendell, or were more of those Rangers close with the elves as well and had more dealings? He does say that there are some among him who have dealings with the elves.
Yeah.
But it made me think, proximity too. If just they might have more contact with them.
Maybe.
Up there in the north.
Just because Aragorn was so closely related to them, I think any rangers that he would have been in contact with would have been more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Because of his connection.
And I might be wrong in this too, but the Rangers of the North, I don't know. I should know more about them because I love Aragorn, but they seem more kind of like. There seem like there's less of them. Mm-hmm. They seem more scattered. And less like all these the men of the South all seem so, I don't know, like they're a lot like, to me they remind me of the elves in Lothlorien, right? They know what's close by them. They're always at war, and their worldview is kind of more like limited, maybe, whereas the Rangers of the North, they're kind of in and out. I mean,
I see what you're saying.
Strider was sort of transient. He was all over the place. Yep. And part of it helped was he was raised by Elrond, right? I mean, but it is interesting. That's a good point. Like, it was a proximity because, Rivendell's up there. I don't know. That's a good point.
What I'm wondering is who is their leader up there? Because now they're all surrounding the stewards of Gondor, and it seems to be a more coordinated effort here. Yeah. What's the structure like up there among? It's
like Elrond said, scattered,
the hierarchy.
There is
leaderless.
You still have an established. I was going to say government, but you still have an establishment in the South.
Yeah,
that fell in the North.
Lost.
Right, yeah. So it's very scattered and discombobulated. Right. It's not that organized. I mean, you have armies in the South. You don't have that in the North.
And that's why Aragorn's rise is so prophetic too, right? Isn't it? Because he comes from. It's in the same way that, like, I don't know, that the flame is rekindled within Anduril, right? Yeah. That the shards of Narsil are reforged from brokenness comes this light in the same way.
Oh, yeah.
The North is scattered and broken and
just
sharded.
The way the Northern Kingdom was broken.
And Aragorn rises from that.
I like that.
As a flame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, what were we saying? Oh, so he was explaining why he doesn't include elves. And he goes into why elves and men have become estranged in the New World as opposed to the way it was before. Yeah. And I think I think that goes back to what we were talking about with why we send men out in ships now. It's because of confusion over time, half memories of the way things used to be, legends handed down from generation to generation. They know the elves are different, they're kind of powerful, but because of their separation, they've lost that contact. And so they're just making up all this nonsense about them. And now we don't understand them, we don't know them, so we're afraid of them. Yeah. I think that's kind of where they landed on that.
Yeah, it even said when there's one tiny
over generations.
Sure,
yeah.
Kind of like with the elves and the dwarves too, right? I
mean, exactly. Sure, they were much closer at one point, and then they drifted apart.
Which has got to be a device of Sauron too, right? You divide the peoples of Middle Earth and
by the arts of the enemy.
There you go. Okay.
It's like the one little line that's in there.
Where?
It just says so they. I
think I underlined that.
I just read it, guys. Literally, words are jumping around like crazy.
It's a big book. A lot of words.
Where is it? Fought beside the elves in the war within the. But in Middle Earth, men and elves became estranged in the days of the darkness by the arts of the enemy and by the slow changes of time, and also just that they walked these different paths. They each kind of went to their own. It's almost like after that great defeat or win, victory, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And there's a time of peace. It's even like they got sleepy on the watch, and darkness crept back in, and each went to their own devices.
Graduate from high school, and
Yeah, I don't know, and also it just says, and by the arts of the of the enemy. So. Okay.
Yeah. Well, time, especially time and peace, makes you more comfortable too, and you naturally lose watch because you think, well, battle's over. Sure. There's no reason for it. And then that's when evil can creep back in.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
Unguarded.
Yeah.
Yes. I love how he says, just real quick, when he's talking about the elves, talking about how often men have gone off in secret to Lorien, seldom to return. And then he goes on to say, yet I envy you that you have spoken with the White Lady. Mm-hmm. So that kind of that desire he has, like he wouldn't mind going to visit Galadriel and seeing what all the legends are about. And this is where Sam comes in. He talks about how unparalleled. I love this little bit. Compares her to Daffodowndilly, which I'm guessing is a the distant relative of a daffodil, small and slender like, hard as diamonds, soft as moonlight, warm as sunlight. It's, Sam getting all poetic too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just trying to describe her beauty, and Faramir puts it perilously fair.
Yep.
I don't know about perilous. It strikes me that folk takes their peril with them into Lorien. This was amazing, I thought, and finds it there because they've brought it. But perhaps you could call her perilous because she's so strong in herself. You could dash yourself to pieces on her like a ship on a rock, or drown yourself like a hobbit in a river. But neither rock nor river would be to blame. Now, that's where he gets into Boromir, and it leads into...
it totally does. He's basically, this is him revealing...
Stop talking, Sam.
He stopped himself right there.
Save me.
He should have just stopped himself. And so he reveals that Boromir's longing for the ring.
Yep.
Right? So from the moment he first saw it, he wanted the enemy's ring. Mm-hmm. He's talking about that. That was the peril that he took into... and that Galadriel saw in him.
And isn't this kind of interesting that this is like, indirectly, this is the Lady Galadriel influencing the course of events even here. Just because she left such a mark on Sam that he wasn't able to stop. He got carried away with her beauty, and then here he is talking about Boromir. Oh, crap. But in the end, it ends up being a good thing.
Yeah.
It's like her influences even in that.
Mm-hmm. How about that?
Yeah. Crazy,
I
huh?
didn't get that. That's good.
Yeah, so,
I may have made it up. I don't know. But it's just,
it's
she's pervasive. She's
Works
all
for me.
over the place.
Yeah, for sure. And we're at the end here. I mean, he basically kind of, gets on himself, scolds himself a little bit. And Frodo is kind of like, what? He doesn't say that, but that's what I'm in my head. I'm like,
yeah. His mouth's just
what?
open.
Yeah, just unbelievable. So it seems, said Faramir slowly and very softly with a strange smile. So that is the answer to all the riddles. The one ring that was thought to have perished from the world. And so now he has it and he understands it. And but he goes on to kind of isn't this where he stands and it seems as if he's coming to take it, just like Boromir, and it's almost like he scares them just a little bit, right? They kind of hop up and what have you.
Go for their swords even.
And he kind of laughs, right? It's to he wants to show his quality, right? And he kind of just had a little moment with him. It is a jest, right? I mean, that's what you guys were getting from.
Yeah, I was even maybe thinking it was just the way the hobbits were seeing it,
the way they took it, because he stood up and just walked. Yeah.
And they're thinking like, oh crap, okay, because just the slight edginess of the environment and the history
a stroke of
Boromir. Fortune,
a chance for Faramir, Captain of Gondor, to show his quality.
Yeah, he's kind of speaking. You're right. So maybe he is jesting, and their interpretation is, oh god.
Yeah, I think he's verbalizing what he sees as the ring is doing.
Okay.
The ring was there.
Okay.
Boromir tried to take it. His brother, of all people, tried to take it to save their city.
Yeah.
He died because of it. And that ring somehow made its way all the way down to Boromir's brother.
Yeah. The irony of the situation.
Yeah.
Even the fate.
How could it be?
Yeah.
And then there they are.
Yeah.
Just out in the wild. No one knows you're there. 2 little bitty hobbits.
Yeah.
I've got 200 men here.
Right. I see all those things. I see the jest. I see the...
No, I'm seeing this now.
Yeah. So I think he's verbalizing not to scare them and maybe not even to show them. He may just be thinking out loud.
Yeah, sure.
He's like, this is unreal that this has happened. What are the odds that this would have happened this way?
Yeah.
But also, is he not calling out, like you said, it's almost like he is...
A pretty stroke of fortune.
The ring is working behind the curtain, and he just pulled the curtain down on the ring and said,
"Yep,
I see. Well, look at what you're trying to do. Look at you. Look at you there trying.
Pants are down, ring."
Because he laughs.
Yeah,
a pretty stroke of fortune. A chance for Faramir, Captain of Gondor, to show his quality.
Exactly what the ring would want. Yeah,
and he just laughs.
Yeah, almost like he's mocking the ring. He's kind of mocking the ring.
Yeah, very Tom.
It is
very
Tomish.
Tom. He just laughs at it.
You have no power here. Yeah,
I mean,
you have no power.
This can't go understand. It's a big deal.
Wrong,
it's a very different. I don't know. It's what makes Faramir so interesting and cool.
I never would have made that compare. It is like Tom. He's laughing in the face of the ring, saying, "You think you're going to get me this way, but I'm Faramir." Yep. Drop the mic. Throw it over the falls. You're not going to get me. And then he does bring up his words previously. He said, not if I found it on the highway. This is where you said, as you know, he laid that thought
Truth
back
speakers.
there, yep, and brought it back here. Yeah.
Boast seldom,
Yeah.
and then perform or die in the attempt.
Yeah. I'm repairing the reputation of Gondor.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, almost as big of a role in redeeming Gondor as Aragorn coming back as king. I mean, this moment right here could change the entire story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
it's huge.
It's massive.
There is
It's
no
massive.
one to stop him from taking that right now.
And it's very fitting that
There's
this
actually
guy,
a lot of pull, air quote, pull from the ring to do it. It's set up a beautiful table, for him to eat from, and he said,
come
no.
get it. And it's just funny. It's so this, I mean, because we talk about the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom being divided, and then how this ranger from the north and this steward from the south work in tandem, unknowingly, of each other's work towards this to reunite that kingdom. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's good.
It's crazy awesome. Yeah. Okay, I think the last little bit here, I just, not to breeze through it, but they eventually kind of, unless stop me if you want to, there's more here, but they basically go back to their seats and they're quiet, and they return to the men turn to their drinks, etc. They eventually get some sleep, right? And is that the end of the chapter? I mean, is there more to this? Like, Frodo, he's shocked a little bit, right? This is where he does tell him exactly where he's going to go, right?
Yeah. Frodo kind of gives up. Yeah. So, the hobbits are back to their seats.
He almost collapsed, doesn't he?
He does from the shock wearing off. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And his
cot. Carry him.
Yeah.
Over?
So Faramir says, "Look, it's getting late. We've been through a lot here. Why don't you guys go get some rest? Tomorrow morning, we're each going to have to go our separate ways. Oh, by the way, what is your way?" Frodo's like, "All right, fine. I've got to take the ring.
Throwing it in, man.
I got to take it to the Gulf of Doom."
Yeah.
Faramir's like, "Okay, good idea. Good night.
Shocked.
See you in the morning."
Right. I mean, of everything that's like mentioned, and he's passing out like as he's saying it, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like I would love to the pickup after that. He goes over and is like, "Holy smoke!" Of everything that I was just told, do you think that last little bit was huge?
That was the biggest part.
Do you think that the inspiration that him collapsing like that was Elijah Wood's inspiration in the movies for doing the whole eye rolling up in the back of the head?
Oh,
collapsing.
I wonder
because he does that.
He does,
and behind the fall. I mean, he does it like
when the
all
sword's
throughout
right
the
on
movie.
his chest.
But
right.
He does it.
His eyes kind of roll back. Yeah. There is that line that you brought up.
I think that's a ring thing, though.
Several times. I think so too. Yeah, it probably is. But I can say it's Sam talking to Faramir, and he says, "But I can say this: you have an heir too, sir. That reminds me of." I'm doing it right now. I'm almost crying right now. Gandalf of Wizards. And I wrote down there, I said, "I'm not crying. You're crying."
Yeah.
Because it just it got me. I'd forgotten that line was there, if I ever even remembered it. And I read that and I was like, God. And then he says, we missed this part. So he has the heir of Wizards. Because Faramir says way earlier that Frodo has a certain heir.
Elvish heir.
And I wonder, is that what we've always talked about, his connection to elves? Or is that because he's got the ring with him, which is crafted by an elf? I don't know. Perception, whatever. But then also how Faramir says, you have an heir of Numenor. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy good is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Holy cow! I can't believe we finished this.
I know it was a task.
How long have we been going here?
For a long time.
Are we past 3?
We are at almost.
There's no way you can use all of that.
Oh yeah,
2 episodes.
Yeah.
We're doing 2 episodes.
I can just do like a little bridge in the middle, and I can do a part 1 and a part 2.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's probably a good idea.
And so that's why I wanted us to really just take our time, through it, and I can either release it at the same time, or we can release it separately, whatever we want to do. So we'll kind of see.
2-parter.
Yeah. So
we've only done that once before.
I still have so much that we didn't get into.
Let's talk about it. You got cool connections? We haven't done cool connections yet.
We haven't done that because
cool
I've got some
connections,
conceptual ideas here. My personal observation on
take your time to give it to us.
Tolkien's view on well, maybe he was using Faramir to express his larger view on good and how good can be corrupted if unguarded. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. I read that on your notes, and we needed to
okay.
talk about that.
So
that's interesting.
Cool connections.
Yeah. So that brought he used a pretty grand stage to tell that, that interpersonal
maybe
conflict. I believe that. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he wasn't big on allegory. He was bigger on application.
Yep, applicability.
And
I was just going to say, you apply that to your life. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And that doesn't pigeonhole into any one religion. It doesn't pigeonhole into any one culture. That is a human conflict, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the right thing versus the wrong thing. Trying to be your best and do what you believe is right, or everyone else is kind of slacking.
Yeah.
Do I really have to guard my heart? Man, whatever.
I mean, that's why the men of he describes that's why the men of Numenor fell in the first place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is because they assumed that the enemy was banished when he wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
They assumed he was eliminated. He was only temporarily banished.
Yeah. Right. Something that was interesting, I don't know where this happened at in the chapter, and I love this. We're just going to take a second here to digest all this chapter. He talks about, Faramir says at one point, that he wonders how his brother fell, and did he fall? And he believes that he fell, that he did some good in the end, right? Because remember when he's asking Frodo in the beginning about his death or asking him more about it, he's already had the vision that he's died. Can't remember where it's at, but what it makes me think of is that like he didn't quite know how he died. He didn't know that he he learns a little bit that there's this strife between Frodo, but Frodo can't tell him Boromir's last, action and how, I don't know how he won him, or I don't know how he redeemed himself, or how he was, how he still kind of fell as this, as being someone who's in the light. I don't know how to explain that really.
Yeah, no,
but you know what I'm saying? Someone who's still good. Because
I remember that.
What I'm reading here is you said, your concept, you said, interesting that we see Faramir's wisdom and understanding of the world in his acceptance that his beloved brother could fall from good to evil. And it made me think, when you just fall, did he fall in good or did he fall in evil? What was his outcome? And he doesn't really know. Faramir doesn't. But he believes that whatever it was, he did some good before he left, before it was over.
I think so. I don't think this is the exact part you're referring to. I can't seem to find it. But he did mention that he believes that Boromir has passed down the river to the sea, which means that he believes that Boromir has gone on to the west.
Yeah. Okay.
Which would be a good ending.
That's a good, yeah.
At a minimum.
Right. Yeah. It was, and that is kind of, the ultimate, that's what he needed in this vision. He sees that, and that's, he sees it. I say vision, but, but I'm thinking about, it's just that last act, like Frodo cannot give him the answers as to the very last moments of his life. And how you remember how Aragorn treated him at the end, and talked about how he, even though he stumbled there at the end, he still, died in such a way that was honorable, that would bring honor to his family and to his house. And I think that's something that Faramir has to wonder about a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think this is something that I don't think this is the line that you're talking about, but he talks about the expression on his face.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's his face, and he talks about how that was a good. He must have been. Yeah. He must have, almost like I'm calling it like dying in the light, but he must have, because of how good he looked.
Yes.
There. That I don't know. I don't know if you can. If you
I have it underlined somewhere because you know me.
It just struck me, and maybe someone, and this is why we have you guys in the book club, just to kind of go back and take a look at that and see if there's anything there, and
Yeah, no, it was the expression on his face that it was.
Yeah.
Dang it, where is that?
That's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll
just keep talking. And I'll keep looking.
It's just such a long.
Are we confusing movie with book?
I remember it today. When I was driving down, I thought to myself, I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about just that. and I think it was towards the beginning of the chapter when he was questioning Frodo, or when they were talking about maybe it was the vision he had too. But
maybe, alas, it is a crooked fate that seals your lips, who saw him last, and holds from me that which I long to know. What was in his heart and thought in his latest hours? Whether he erred or no, of this I am sure. He died well, achieving some good thing. His face was more beautiful even than in life.
There it is. Thank you. Yeah, but so if you as you read over that a little bit more, what I'm taking from that is that Frodo can't answer that question. What was in his heart at the last? But
forgive me, I failed you all. No, Boromir.
Yeah, but
you fought bravely.
It feels like the vision or whatever that was that he saw his face gives him peace.
Yeah,
and it's almost like you don't need to know all the time. Because I imagine if a loved one had died in war, what I was getting to is like if you had a son who went off to war and died, what was in their heart when they were gone? And you can only imagine that when they can't, death can bring peace sometimes. If there was suffering and war and things were going on, that now they're at peace, and then you can only imagine that they were doing that. Their heart was in the right place, and they were in a. I don't know. I just was trying to make that
and for
connection,
and for Boromir specifically, that he shook that. He tried to get it from Frodo, but Frodo was able to get away, and he redeemed himself by in the end doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And really, we talked about this way back when the Fellowship split. Someone had to do that. Almost, it seems like they didn't know where they were. Aragorn had no idea what to do. He felt very un-Aragorn-like, which I also think was some play by fate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that delay happened on purpose because maybe it allowed Boromir to do what he had to do.
Allowed it to develop.
Yeah. Because Frodo... And also it made Frodo more wary of even... I think we were talking about how we talked about his wit with Faramir and his kind of lack to let Faramir in all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is in large part because the situation, obviously, but because of that background experience with Boromir, right? Your brother tried to kill me. It's going to take a lot for you to earn my trust, and maybe that did something for Faramir too. Maybe that made him want to prove his mettle even more. It's just the ripple effect is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
if you think about that. Yeah. But yeah, that Boromir ultimately he came back to the light. It's kind of like a Darth Vader type thing.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, like
sure.
It's different, I guess. But his last act is something good.
What is it?
Defending those hobbits.
And we'll get there later. There's more. That Faramir is going to learn and things and conversations that he'll have. But anyways, I just thought it was interesting.
I love that. Yeah, man.
Try to remember that line. Any other cool connections, takeaways you had just in the chapter, Kurt?
Just my own personal observation.
Mm-hmm.
The way we were just talking about whether Tolkien writes for allegory or applicability, and it's very clear that he writes for applicability.
Yeah,
and I think that maybe he was using Faramir a little bit to illustrate maybe his own larger point of view that evil can indeed corrupt even that which is revered as most good and true, if that good is left unguarded.
Yeah.
Faramir explained that the unguarded nature of the men of Gondor is partly why they fell. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, just like Gondor didn't guard itself from decay into its own wickedness on the basis that it, Gondor, was impervious to evil and darkness, being that it was founded by the sons of Elendil, he of most noble repute, being of Numenor, Boromir, Gondor's most beloved and reputable son, was corrupted by the allure of strength and power that could potentially be obtained by possessing the ring.
Yeah, wow.
Boromir did not guard his heart against the evil that will ever seek to tear down that which is good. So maybe there is more spiritual context to this piece of the story than you might think at first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not uncommon in Christianity to think that evil can more easily corrupt the unguarded heart. We both know that Tolkien had a Catholic Christian background.
Yeah.
The more easily corrupt the unguarded heart than that which stays fixated on what is right and good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which we see all throughout this chapter in Faramir. He exhibits this unwavering commitment to what he believes is right and good. And I think Tolkien's offering that up as evidence that there is still some good that's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Somebody else says that later on in the book, I think.
It's Glandorf, isn't it? But dude, let me tell you what.
That's spot on.
As you're saying that too, I'm thinking about, so not only is he waging this battle to guard his heart, Faramir, teaching us that lesson, but physically he's out on the edge of the kingdom, guarding the kingdom. So he's doubly worn out. He's doing it physically to try and reclaim that guard that was lost, and he's resisting the biggest temptation. The one that it's just the irony is crazy too, because Boromir he really did want to use that ring for good. I mean, he had the best of intentions,
right?
But you know what happens with that. So.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have panned out.
No.
Right.
I wonder where he would have worn the ring, like what finger, middle.
It would have been a right hand ring. I think it would have been a right hand ring.
Right hand ring,
and probably
power.
Middle finger.
Middle finger?
Just to give it to Sauron, kind of a deal.
Maybe.
No, I think he would have first finger.
First finger?
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
Gondor, number one.
Power.
Weird number one.
I would have pierced it to my nipple, I think. Did I say that last time?
I think you've said it before, yes.
I think it should always be said now.
Okay.
It's happened 2 episodes in a row. It's now a thing.
All right. We're going for a third.
Jack Black did give himself a Prince Albert with it. If you guys have seen that.
Oh, I've seen the
Yo, Frodo. Huge. Eyes up here, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that. That was funny. Good grief. I never thought that'd make it onto the podcast. I never thought that reference would make it.
Jack Black.
Funny. Lane, any other cool connections?
No, man. You guys nailed it. This has been so much fun. I'm glad that we took time to get lost in the chapter too, because I think sometimes we feel like we gotta do a chapter an episode, which we gotta rush it. Is good too. But it's fitting that we're here with Faramir and that we're taking time. We're guarding our hearts.
It's an important character, and it's someone who you really want to.
Well, I think because he's changed so much. The films and what most people who most people understand Faramir to be is not truly who he is. So maybe what we're doing here, is we're sort of you guys are drawing it to attention. I don't know, some of the changes that were made and maybe why he's a more elevated character in the stories. Like he is someone to aspire to be. He's not like this this guy who's following his brother's footsteps. He's very different. He's his own person.
He's not a main character, but I think he's a very significant character in that he is displaying, in part, what we're fighting for.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
All right. Wow. Okay. Well, as long as everyone's spoken their piece, we'll get into Bywater Post.
Okay.
So you guys have already heard Kurt's Tolkien story, as it were, in the Bywater Post. So we thought we'd take a little bit of time just to kind of talk to Kurt about his life, his history, his time in Ithilien, whatever he wants to talk about.
Life outside of Tolkien?
Is there such a thing?
Is there a thing? Yeah.
It's pretty boring.
Yeah. We learned some interesting things, though.
We did.
Lane and I did today.
We learned the first time you met Fi.
Okay.
My Lord.
She's going to hear this.
Fi Jones. So Kelly, next time I see you.
I'm totally calling her that, by the way.
Next time I see you, I will address you by your true name, which is embroidered into your T-shirts.
Sure. Okay, let me start.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sort of stole your thunder there. I'm sorry.
Coming up on 14 years of marriage this year to the lovely Kelly.
I was learning how to drive when you guys got married.
We got married in 2005.
It's awesome.
We dated for
have you known each other 20 years? Close to it.
We dated for 4 years before that.
Holy cow!
So yeah, it's coming up on it.
All right.
Coming up on it.
That is so cool, by the way. That's just it. And Sarah, when you're telling that story to Goldberry, she lit up. She loves those stories of love standing the test of time. Who doesn't love that?
Over a bowl of pumpkin soup and salted rye in the kitchen earlier tonight.
As
the question came up.
do.
Yeah. So how did you meet? I was in high school. She was in college. She's a year and a half older than I am. We worked at the same mall back where we're from. All right. So I was on break from the movie theater, just strolling down the mall, as young boys are wont to do. Mm-hmm. Saw a pretty girl in the local CD shop.
Yep.
Used to be called Disc Jockey.
Yep.
That was the name of it.
Yep.
So
not as prolific as they used to be. Those CD shops.
Yeah, I know. You don't really see many of those.
Right.
So I strolled in, started a conversation.
Yeah.
And
were you asking about albums? Were you like, "Hey, where's Salt and Peppa? You got any
honestly,
Leonard Skinner?"
She'll confirm this either way, but I'm pretty sure she started a conversation by asking me,
"Do you need any help?"
I think she asked me if I'd seen any good movies lately. I think is what it was.
Classic, dude.
Because I clearly worked at the movies. I was wearing a bow tie and a vest, right?
But that's a classic line. Seen any good movies lately?
Right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how it went.
That's
so
great.
So yeah, I was an idiot. I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to this girl.
Right.
She's got this polo on. Disc Jockey apparently at some point along the line had been bought out by FYE, For Your Entertainment. Shout out. So she has FYE embroidered on her shirt. And of course I asked, so how do you say your name? Is that Phi? And that's how we met. And she still to this day will tell you that was her cue, that she should have turned around and walked away. But she didn't.
Sucked in.
She signed on.
Sucked in.
And here she is, like 20 years later, still dealing with my nonsense.
Oh, it's so great.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah, it was good. We got married right after I joined the Army. So
you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was in the Army. I was in military police in the Army from August of 2004 through the end of 2009. We got married that spring of 2005. We lived in Georgia.
Wow.
Fort Stewart, Georgia.
What
Bulldogs.
Part of Georgia.
Third ID.
Is that by? So is that by? Where is?
It's near Savannah.
Savannah. Okay.
Yeah.
By the ocean, then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's close. Spent a lot of time down on River Street in Savannah. If there's anyone down there, you know what I'm talking about.
Shout out.
St. Patty's Day on River Street.
Everything green.
Everything's green.
Everything mean.
Even the river's green.
I love that's a Chicago thing.
It's a honking good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Wow.
So lived in Georgia and
yeah, and when you were in the Army, you went actually to Iraq. This is what I thought was super, I couldn't believe just part of your life we didn't know about. I was just sort of like shocked that
you dropped it today in the kitchen. We were like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. I was in Mosul, Iraq from December 2005 to December 2006. And we went to Afghanistan in the spring of 2008 through the end of summer 2009.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Kelly signed on, bless her heart.
Yeah.
As a, as soon as I started this thing, I asked her to marry me. She said yes, and she knew what she was signing up for.
Yeah.
And so.
Man.
She's tough. She did very well. Yeah. She was very strong and very supportive while I was gone. And she held down the fort here.
Well, plus she's older than you, so she is a cougar. She's a Freddie cougar, if you will. Kelly will like that.
She'll appreciate that.
It's just for you. So you talk about and we talk about Tolkien's friendships, the bonds that he made, in World War I. In your time in the Army, what kind of friendships were formed? Did you have
lifelong bonds?
Yeah.
Even though a lot of the communication has been severed for various reasons.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's people that you'll never forget.
Yeah.
Experiences that you got to share that you will absolutely never forget.
Right.
And if you ever ran into one of those people or ever heard from them and they needed something,
right,
there's no doubt.
So does that also remind you of the fellowship?
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
It would. I would think
going through circumstances and scenarios that you just, when you go through it together and you experience the hardness or or the joy or the sadness together.
Yeah.
That nothing brings people together closer than going through experiences like that. And you know, and we went through hard times. We went through sad times when we lost people. And we went through some scary times. Yeah, we didn't know what was going to happen.
No doubt.
In a few hours, we didn't really know how the whole thing was going to turn out. And that brings you together. And so, I can relate to what's happening in this book we're reading.
Yeah. Sounds like the last 11 days for them.
Based on the experiences that they are sharing together.
Yeah.
Right.
I can understand.
Yeah.
So that does, I guess I probably hadn't even put that. I hadn't even really made that connection,
and it's a cool connection to Tolkien that you have too. And I guess anyone who's served their country in that capacity. And just the correlation to, war is war. And wild. Where'd you grow up, man?
I grew up in Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
Northeast Tennessee, right
Smokies.
there in right there in Cumberland Gap, where Kentucky, Virginia, and Tennessee meet. Beautiful country.
Yeah,
low rolling, tree covered hills,
some
valleys,
of the oldest mountains in the world.
Rivers, the Appalachian Mountains.
Yep.
Really nice.
Yep.
Smokies. Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, you might be familiar with.
Yeah.
It's probably about an hour
Never heard of it.
northeast of those.
So I do have a serious question. Yeah.
Yes.
Sasquatch, real or feigned? You've seen Sasquatch, haven't you?
Real.
He said that, guys, without any hesitation. I mean, he hesitated because he had to get close to the mic, but he said real.
Real.
Is that because of your military knowledge or
Your
because of your
encounters?
true experiences?
Yeah.
I want to believe.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so he's an X-Files fan too. Well, Chase McKinney will appreciate that.
No, I mean, if you haven't had any encounters, what are you gonna do?
Why not?
You hear what other people say, and
Hey, man,
why not?
we could go out here and find something.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's some stuff out here.
Right around.
I'll show you a picture later.
Dude, the roads I took to get here.
Oh, yeah.
There's something out there.
So you absolutely, get your hand reel out. If you know what I
Place
mean?
is really out in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
it is. Hey, the borders of the Shire are a wild place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially the North Farthing. So I have a question for you. What do you? Can you name the place you work for now? Your place of employment? No. What do you do for a living?
I'm in marketing.
Excellent.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
I'm in marketing for a growing chain of convenience stores.
Beautiful.
It's great.
Beautiful.
It's fantastic.
That may or may not have originated here in great state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And your wife Kelly works in the same place.
She does work for the same said company.
And you were kind of bragging on her. She is higher up in the hierarchy than you are. Is this common knowledge?
It's
Love that, man. Truly Eowyn and Fairman.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Truly.
She's a tough gal.
Yeah.
She's very strong. She's very motivated.
I love
very driven.
I love how blunt she is.
She's very smart.
Yeah.
She's very forthcoming.
Yes, I love that about her.
Nearly to a fault. She has grown, I think, over the years and matured to restrain it at times when needed.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out yet.
Her nature, her won't, if you will.
Yeah.
This is just to let you know.
It's great, man.
And that's
awesome.
good.
It's great.
And,
no messing
and
around.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's good.
Because, I've hung around.
Absolutely. And you have two beautiful boys.
We do. Connor, Cooper, 3 and 6, about to be 4 and 7.
And they love Winnie. They love Rachel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That a lot
They were 2 weeks ago when we had our unexpected baby shower. Is that what it's called? For crotch fruit number 2. I just remember them hiding under the table.
Oh, they are
Winnie monster, run!
Yeah.
And then just Winnie thinking, she's like, I'm going to catch him one of these times. And man,
just didn't.
eventually she outsmarted them and just kind of
waited for them to come back around.
Yeah. Which one is
just
4?
so
Was
cool.
closer to 4?
Cooper.
Cooper is
The younger one.
Yeah.
Long curly hair.
Man, that hair.
Blonde.
Yeah,
they
'cause-
both got blonde hair.
Yeah.
They
gotcha.
might be real Hiram.
Yeah,
They might be.
Yeah.
They might be.
They might be. That makes sense.
I'm dark haired, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're from Gondor.
So I have questions.
Yeah.
No, those two. I love
funny.
those two.
That's awesome.
They're the light of my life.
Yeah.
I love those two boys.
That's great.
Beautiful, man. What else? This is your platform, brother.
the
do you
mystery?
want to push your supplement that you're currently developing?
My supplement.
Supplement.
Yeah.
Are you
Curtail.
making stuff up?
He's got a power supplement called Curtail, don't you?
What?
Oh, that's in development. Okay, never mind. That's
Curtail.
yeah.
Curtail.
It's like an
They're
energy,
making stuff up.
energy supplement.
They're making stuff up on me. Something happened before the podcast. I don't know what happened.
It curtails your lack of energy.
Okay, see, it's over my head.
Kurt Ale.
Yeah.
Ale.
It's a drink.
Get it?
I'm done.
Maybe.
Well, all I know is
can I say something real quick? So on that note, since that went over my head, you know what's gone over my head for years? For your entertainment.
oh my, really? No.
You know what FYE stood for?
No, I had no idea. Is that what it actually stands for?
Yeah.
It's a play on for your information.
Yeah.
FYE.
FYE.
Guys.
For your entertainment.
I wrote it down because I was like, nah, shut up. I was like, I gotta look that up. I was like, there's no way.
That's good.
I was like, it's just FYE.
I love when Ez does this because I go, I'm not alone, man. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Because
I legitimately did not know. I've been
day.
in that store. I loved it, and but I had no clue.
Well, they don't really advertise it very well, do they?
No,
they just abbreviate their name because they're so cool.
I don't think they have like commercials.
No, they don't.
What would the commercial be? Just some guy rummaging through some CDs.
Yeah, and people would go,
sure.
"What is he doing with his fingers?"
What are those things? Can I just say? Can I just say something before we finish up?
I just
want to let you guys know how much I appreciate the invite.
Oh, of course,
come over. Be a part of the fun.
Can we keep rolling here? Can we just keep going for hours?
Yeah, if you want to. I could keep going.
I mean, really.
I really do. Like, I listened to the podcast. Been listening to it since you started, and just a big fan, man. I love this group of people that we've assembled, all the friends I've made, and all the people we get to communicate with and interact with, and share our passion. That we all care a lot about and offer our inputs, and gosh, there's just very little to no negativity that goes on in this group. It's just fantastic.
I haven't sniffed any yet, have you?
I'm just really excited to be here to talk about it with you because when I listen to the podcast in the car, I'm talking out loud.
You are talking.
I talk out loud. I can't be the only one. I know other people do it. If you do it, good for you. Own it. It's totally cool. I do it. I'm in the car like, no, go back. You missed a line. How did you miss that?
And I love that because that's what we envision. We're
yes, good idea. Or I'll just blurt it out. Oh, I didn't even think of that.
We're sitting here too, and we're imagining you guys doing just that. And we've heard so many people, Kurt, tell us that they're screaming at their radio in the car, or they're at work and they work in an office job. Someone just messaged us today and said my coworkers probably thought I was nuts because I started bursting out laughing for them, no reason, but because I was enjoying the conversation. That's or good. They yell out something that and that's great. That's what book clubs are all about. It's all about the interaction. They correct us when we're wrong because it happens all the time.
Or the pronunciations, like as it's
and tapestry.
There it is.
You got to broach the subject somehow. and that makes us feel really good because that is the whole reason we started this was so we could hang out, we could spend more time together, and then an amazing byproduct of that has been just this community that you guys have formed.
We noticed it right away with people like Kurt, though. Yeah. In all seriousness, people who want, and I was like, man, those guys are cool, and I want to be their friends. Yep. Like I want to be friends with them, like because we've bragged on it. We think we want it to continue. The positivity, sharing of information. It's so amazingly cool, and it doesn't happen a whole lot in the world that we live in anymore. So it's like nice to have. It's very refreshing and just super cool.
And I almost
thank you, Kurt. That means a lot to us.
And I almost think that what's going on is we're kind of fulfilling the prophecy of Tolkien here a little bit, right? He talked about how all these people had been divided, right, because of their differences or because of just time. Mm-hmm. And what we're doing together as a group is we're coming together over great distances, over different backgrounds, different worldviews, and we're a group that's there to support one another no matter what, and welcome everyone who comes in that door. Right through that round door. It's just it's amazing, and like we are so excited just to be a part of it, like everybody else. So it's
exciting. Yeah, so exciting.
I can't think about it too much because it blows my mind, And
yes, it does.
And
we often sit around here and
we have almost 700 members just in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
I remember when it was 150.
Right.
Yep.
I know. And
it's great.
And I can't keep up with all of it, and that's good because you when you go to book clubs in real life, I've only been to a couple meetings ever.
Yeah.
So that's why this is also amazing. You go in and you connect with a few real close, and then there are others that you see, and you're like, man, yeah, I remember that comment they made. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. I want to get to know them better, and that's the cool thing is we have plenty of time. We got plenty of Tolkien books to go through, and many years we want to do this, and that long expected party eventually we're going to have to rent out a field in the Shire and bring tents in, and
it's going to happen,
and barrels from the South Farling, and
there's no lack of field space.
No. You can see it from our window, and we're on Main Street, we appreciate you being here, man, and
thank you.
And taking us up on the invitation, and we look forward to having more uppers on, and
having you back, Kurt. To be honest, man,
absolutely.
I think we're gonna get a lot of good feedback just because you hear the passion in people when they talk. You know what I'm saying? And so it's nice when we get to meet you at the party and in different places because that's all we want. You don't have to know everything and whatever. If you're passionate about it and you love it, awesome. That's what we want to hear. So and clearly Kurt is, and it's just a lot of fun to hear him talk about this stuff. So
the fate that's involved, it's pretty amazing. I think Faramir and Tolkien were on to something there.
Yeah.
Let's have some strawberries with cream, shall we?
All right.
Indeed. I meant to go get that ice cream ready.
We were supposed to have.
I know.
Strawberries.
We'll have it afterwards.
There's ice cream?
Go to Sniff Air. I got some ice cream and
Are
some
you
strawberries.
kidding me?
Yeah.
Why does Kurt know all this stuff that I don't just
And it was Goldberry who got it. I want to thank Goldberry for tonight, of course.
Oh, Lord,
wouldn't be possible without her. She's amazing. She takes care of everything.
Yeah.
So strawberries with cream. If you could be the sibling of any character in Middle Earth, who and why?
Glorfindel.
I did not see that coming, but that fits.
Yeah, that was a no-brainer.
Glorfindel.
Okay, so what would your name be? Dorfindel? Or Aorfindel?
Dwarfindel?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea what my name would be.
Kirkfindel.
Kirkfindel? I don't know.
Yeah.
As
you'd be Glorfindel's brother?
Absolutely, I would be.
Okay, why?
Why not? Would
you be close? Would you be like 3,000 years apart? I mean, what is the? Could you
imagine if he was brought back?
You could also be his twin if you wanted.
He died, and I.
Oh gosh.
And I lived, and then he was.
Brought back. Would you technically be older than him then?
That's a good question.
I'm his younger brother, but I'm older at this point.
I don't know. I just think he's cool. I've always thought he's cool, so I thought
he's your favorite.
Just be kind of neat, and I just thought of it on the spot. So
I like it. Those are the best ones.
I wanted to get out there quick.
Good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's good.
And that's your tagline, catchphrase.
That's my catchphrase.
It's on a shirt.
Legolas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me and Legolas.
Would your name be Legless? Like no legs?
Oh man, it's hard to come up with an elf name.
Yeah, I need some time on that.
Kegalis.
Now we're on to something.
You can't.
Kurgalis.
Wait.
Okay. Kurgalis.
The way I originally envisioned being Legolas' brothers is we would tag team up and we would just be badass in battle. But if my name is Kegalis, then
drunk.
I'm clearly the overweight, drunken brother who's a deadbeat living at home.
You're like sitting at the bottom of Thranduil's throne. You're like, Daddy, when the new barrel's getting in.
But what if you're called upon? What if Kegalis is called upon?
Dude, he gets out and he's throwing his belly at orcs and they're going boing, bouncing off.
I can picture that.
Oh gosh, I love it.
Somebody write that.
He's got stubble, even though elves don't do
gosh.
beards.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's so good.
Yes, Legolas is brother Kegalis.
And you're playing the guitar, you're just relaxing, you're like having the elf maidens come over. Hey, let's have a party, guys. You're matchmaking, you're like, you guys go talk about the stars,
Deadbeat
man.
Party, brother. What about you?
I love it. Well, after last week and my slip up, I'd have to be Frodo Baggins' younger brother Brodo.
Oh, Brodo, yeah.
And I live on the wrong side of the tracks in the Shire.
Right.
Wrong side of the river.
And I think I take a spin on it. The wrong side of the river. That's good. a little too close to the water, maybe.
There you go.
And I that would be the expression in the Shire.
Too close to the water.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
No, it's not natural. No, not in a bit. And I would probably pursue. I'd be like Marty McFly, in a way. I would introduce Hobbit rap to the Shire, and I'd change my last name to Swaggins. And I know I'm stealing that. Brodo Swaggins. And I would release an album. I'd probably do some concerts on the party lawn under the tree.
Yeah.
And I'd get done with the concert, and there'd be a DeLorean in the distance and a white-haired wizard of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wizardish.
From maybe 1955. And I'd get done with my rap, and all the hobbits would just be, their jaws would be on the ground. They wouldn't be dancing anymore, and I'd say, I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids are going to love it. And then I'd drop the mic, and I'd disappear. I'd come back here.
Be great.
Brodo Swaggins.
Brodo
Swaggins. So great.
So we got Dwarfindel, Brodo Swaggins, and Kegelus. Yeah, I'm good with that.
That's a mighty team. That is something.
Probably where that
That's
should
a fellowship.
The three hunters. The new three hunters.
Can this be a new blog post that you make? Like, just create this story for us, Lane, and
they're going to meet up with Jack Abbott.
Fan fiction.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
The misadventures.
Wow.
If anybody has an interest in writing a new fan fiction,
There it is.
The
some new characters.
The Bellowship of the Ring. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. Wow, that was fun. Wow, that might have been the best. One of the best strawberries and cream with ever. Mm-hmm. With cream ever. I'd like to be Sam's sister, Mary. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
How about time for Share the Load, Ez? How can people bear the burden?
Well, hey, first thing you can do is read the chapter. Read the chapter. Take some notes. Let us know what you thought, of the chapter. I have been more recently, Kurt, posting the, what do you call that? Just the link for the episode on the main page, and people have been providing some, feedback, some recap and stuff in there, just comments on the chapter that we need to get back to kind of reading when we do the recap session, just to kind of get some of that feedback. So that's another way to kind of help us with the recap, is to get your comments, your thoughts, good talking points, on the previous chapter. So if you had those thoughts on this chapter, we'd like to bring them up, because we're going to be talking, about Faramir again next chapter, and we'd love to kind of, see what people thought here and discuss before we dive into that. So on Patreon, I actually just sent an update to Jen Shepard. I'm going to have the newsletter is out. So it just went out, I think, today when we're recording, or maybe yesterday. This is Friday.
It was out this morning.
Was that this morning? Okay. And so she's got some real cool updates in there. Awesome work by her. So, if you guys have things you want to send her, I know she's coordinating with different folks to get stories and what have you. I think, Kurt, you are going. Is that a spoiler, or should I?
I think it's okay. Yeah, I'll be putting together a small
little something
column.
Sweet.
To go in March edition. So
okay, cool. I don't know if that was spoiler or not. I'll
I don't have a topic yet, but I have one in mind.
Well, there we go. Okay,
it's not official, so that makes it unofficial.
All right, perfect.
What's Gollum's favorite part of a fish? Official.
What?
Official.
Share the load. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at UpTalkingTolkien. We've got new Patreon episodes coming. We've got some cool stuff with the website, possibly some news coming very soon. And
social media takeovers.
Yeah, things that we wanted
to do. Giveaways.
Yeah, cool stuff that we're trying to,
organize.
Yeah, so much. And we're trying to get a lot of this done before baby number 2 comes. So we're getting various, we're getting caught up on a few things there. But yeah, feel free to head over to Patreon, support us there. Also want to give a quick shout out just to all the new listeners we have. I should have did that at the top of the show, because we have seen an increase in listeners and people coming to the group and things like that. And it could be because of the formation of the Prime, Lord of the Rings page and stuff. That's driven some excitement back into Lord of the Rings. So if this is your first listen and you're like, wow, that was the longest episode I've ever heard in my life,
it only gets longer.
It only just, just enjoy it. Okay. So, but no, we do want to say thanks for being here and, welcome. So,
yes.
All right. If you want to send us anything, you can send it to the Shire at P.O. Box 96, Amanda, Ohio, 43102.
Well, it's time for some weekly well wishes, formerly Fortnite for Wells. We want to thank you for going window shopping with us. Next time we'll be in our trunks and keeping to the shallow end as we plunge into Chapter 6, The Forbidden Pool.
Yeah. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a Shadowfax.
The power of 3 whistles. We'll see you in a Hobbit fortnight, and remember, Brodo... Gamgee, you old fool.
Save me.
Frodo lives.
Every time you open your mouth, you stick your foot in it, Samwise.
So good.
Oh, Lord bless me.
Lord bless me.
That was amazing.
That was
Everything about that was perfect.
It was great.
Probably one of
the only thing I didn't get to read that I was Sam stuck his knuckle in his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of how I feel right now.